Welcome to Hurrdat Sports Radio.
We got to just get it in.
Just get it in. Somehow, some way.
Basket here.
And you got the biggest player in the low post.
Ashford for three. Oh, he banked it in. That caught window. That caught window. But we have 5.8 left.
Piper beats Biddle to the spot. We knew he had Biddle on his heels, and he makes his first basket today.
Conference right now.
How about that?
After they lost 4 in a row.
Right. That goes through the hands of Shellstad. Tracy trying to chase down. And Williams with it on.
First of all, it's great to see everybody. I haven't seen you guys probably since the bowl game. First, would love to start by just wishing Coach Cook the best. He came and spoke to the team when we first got here. He's been a great friend to me. He's helped me a ton. Comes to practice. Is always there for us whenever we need anything. So when you have a chance to be around the best, when you have a chance to be around greats, it only makes you better. And so I was obviously sad but excited for him to hear that news the other day. To me, our women's volleyball program, I think it's such an amazing feature for our university. As I go all across the country, there's not a person that doesn't bring up the game in Memorial Stadium. As I'm recruiting for football, their families know the excellence of Nebraska many times because of our volleyball team. So what he's done is amazing, and I think we all know that.
Good morning. Welcome into Hurrdat Sports Radio, AM 590, ESPN Omaha, ESPN Tri-Cities. We're presented by Centris Federal Credit Union. That's DB. I'm Ravi. Lulla. What's up, DB?
How are things?
Oh, we're doing all right.
How's your camera?
Not good. Not good. We're having some camera issues this morning.
I don't understand.
So we're trying to figure that out.
What is going on?
Our normal setup is not cooperating for some reason.
They will be okay.
Yeah, well, they've got the audio here, and they've got our webcam cameras here, so we've got something at least. But so we'll work on that. We'll see what we can do there. How was your weekend, DB? You were a jet setter.
I was a traveling man.
Yeah.
I may like Evan more than you do.
Maybe. I told you would like him because he cares about people.
He's a good dude.
Yeah, he is.
That's a good descriptor.
Yeah, he cares about people.
I was bugging. Well,
way more than I do.
Yeah. No, I'm gonna go ahead and.
No, he's a terrific person.
Yeah. So you're right. It was the exact flight.
Mm-hmm.
So we flew into an airport that's about, I don't know, 2,200 square feet in Champaign, Urbana.
Yep. It's not a big setup there.
No, it's a little teeny tiny. You get stuff on the honor system.
Yep.
Scan it. Nobody's gonna be there to. Although I watched a guy. You think I'm bad, and I'm not.
Yeah.
I let you and Ryan and everybody else paint me into this corner like I like botulism and stuff like that. But at the counter, it's all scanned, right? Like you can just get it out of the fridge and scan it. They had various types of salad sandwiches: tuna salad, chicken salad.
Oof. Okay.
And on the date was 128. 128.
That's not good. We don't.
This was yesterday.
Yeah. So
I looked at Queen. I was like, even I wouldn't probably do that. So then we got really childish because the flight is relatively smallish, probably 35, 40 people.
Yeah.
Will anybody partake? There was only one chicken salad sandwich left. Now, there were a variety. There were wraps.
Yeah.
And I watched this older gentleman take the turkey. I was like, these people must be really hungry.
Well, you're not inclined to eat in public anyway.
No, but I did want to get these cracklins.
Yeah?
Yeah, but at O'Hare, I got these chicken sticks.
Okay.
Yeah.
Were the chicken sticks not expired?
Expired. No, it's you got them out of like the refrigerated portion of.
Yeah.
It wasn't Hudson News. It was another one.
Yeah, one of those. Yeah.
But yeah, they were. I mean, I would eat those on the fly. Like if I was going to get lost in the mountains.
Yeah.
I'd hope to have those.
I mean, that's a better option than usually what you're left with.
Yeah.
Which is your fellow passengers.
It was great. I had a couple great one-liners.
Yeah.
It was I got a shout out. I thought Illinois and their athletic department,
Yeah.
and the Butkus family was incredible. Just gracious, and I mean, it was first class. Big Ten shot it.
Yeah.
So they're gonna replay it and hope to raise funds for cardiac scans, because that's really the catalyst for the Butkus, because Dick's life was prolonged by catching
Sure.
a couple of really bad cakey valves late, but so they did the high school, the college, and the NFL Butkus Award winners.
Oh, that's cool.
It was very cool.
Yeah.
Very cool. So we got to meet, Jalen Walker, and
Yeah.
I thought Christian was fantastic. He repped his speech and then didn't use it, which was
Nice.
yeah, he's good.
Yeah.
It's good. Guys, some guys got their first experience with teleprompters. much more difficult than much.
It does look super. Like,
Listen, man,
I don't think I could do it
not easy.
because that thing's moving.
Oh yeah, not easy.
Yeah, that's.
But it was a class deal, and so Evan he came in clutch.
Yeah.
Well, we didn't get there. We didn't get to the hotel until 10.
Yeah.
So it was slim pickings on what to eat. So he sent us to this little bar and grill.
Oh yeah.
I had a fantastic fish sandwich.
Yeah.
And then in the morning, it was a game time decision. Because I went wandering. I walked about. That campus it's different. It's very Aggie.
Yeah.
Looks like the backside of East Campus in Lincoln.
Yeah. Yeah.
For the most part. So, Coach Samanji was down there having his coffee. He's like a newspaper coffee guy.
Okay.
We were just happy he got to go. It's kind of last minute.
I would say, yeah, that's.
I
didn't know he was going.
He's good. He's
That's
good.
awesome.
Sharp, man. He's a good dude. Worked almost the whole time.
Really?
Yeah.
That's not shocking.
I thought he may use it as a little bit of a want to get away, but he's constantly taking notes, and we're going through. We got to make an addition. We have to find a staff member, so that's public enemy number 1. But LeVar and some of the guys were down early Saturday morning, so they talked to them for a while, and we're really good with the Jones family because LeVar helped MC. So they had some past award winners like Nora Davis from Stanford, Dana Howard.
Oh yeah.
I was like, hey, when we turned out to be friends, but it's like, hey man, my man Stu should have won the Butkus when you won it that year. Nah, I didn't really say that because he's an East St. Louis guy and he still had that raspy, tough voice.
Yeah.
So I was like, yeah, I'll keep it moving. Kevin Hardy was there. So
Oh,
they had a
nice.
couple of Illinois guys.
Yeah.
But I thought their athletic director, he was super. He commanded the room. He played
Josh
there.
Whitman. Is
Yeah,
that? Yeah. People around there love him.
This is a good dude. You could tell.
People love Josh Whitman.
You could tell. He
like Illinois guy.
Yep.
They love him.
Yeah, he's funny. He made a funny joke about LeVar coming back because the LeVar leap was against Illinois.
Oh yeah.
And he's like, yeah, if you pause it, you can see me knocked on the ground looking up as LeVar's going over me. Yeah, it was cool. I heard one of the greatest lines ever uttered. We stumbled into a place last millisecond Saturday morning called Neal Street Blues.
Okay.
I didn't know much about it. I looked at the menu. I saw shrimp and grits. It was coined Southern Comfort. So I was like, ooh, brothers.
Yeah.
That's me, that's what I was thinking. So I called Evan. Evan was, of course, coaching third grade basketball. He hit me right back at halftime. And in typical Evan fashion, he says, Street Blues. Oh yeah. I said, yeah, that's what I'd call a local favorite.
Yeah.
So I didn't think much of it. We got there right as it opened. They opened the door for us. It's like 10:57. I mean, because we were gonna go someplace else.
Yeah.
And once we caught wind of Neal Street Blues, we just took like a detour, like literally. The lift was going to this place called Sam's or something like that. So we walk in and it's a It's a very cultural diverse establishment.
Okay.
So there's a couple people waiting behind us. We all walk in, and there's this young lady, and she looks like Shane. I am not paraphrasing. There were 7 people in here at the time that heard this.
Okay.
So she looks good.
Sure. Yeah, sure. She's good looking. Whatever. No, it's not it at all. So she's standing behind us, and I'm already playing nice with the guy that let us in because he had on a puffy vest. I was like, yeah, team puffy vest.
Big puffy vest guy.
You know, brothers going to dap up brothers, right?
Yep.
Queen's over there laughing. And
I mostly can't tell when you know someone or not.
Oh, they make Kirk. Yeah, my AD hammered me
because
all weekend.
There's like half the time you'll go up and dap somebody, and I'm like, "Who was that?"
Yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah, he crushed me all weekend. So we were getting ready to go to O'Hare, and he goes, "See over under on somebody in the airport knowing DB." I set it at 7.5 minutes, and Queen goes, "Well, it can't just be a what's up. They got to actually know him. Like they got to say Damon."
Yeah,
just
can't just be a dap up.
Yeah. So we're waiting because we were just gonna sit at the bar. We didn't know that they had weekend buffet. We were just gonna order off the menu, and the guy goes, "Hey, let me seat this young lady first." It's like, "Oh, okay, cool." And she goes, "Hey," she goes, "This is my second time here. She said, and I quote, "This was the first place I came when I first moved to Champaign to start school last year, and it's Black History Month, so I'm like, what the hey?" I was like,
that sounds like something I would say.
It did. The dude was in tears. It was the funniest thing that I heard all, and I mean these guys. You get a lot of these old football. You know, Eric Anderson played linebacker at Michigan in the late 80s, early 90s. Like these guys were telling some story. That by far and away was the fun. I was like, that tops the I got a black friend. Like it was the great.
It's Black History Month, so I figured
she's
what
like,
the hey?
She's like, hey. I mean, her hair's dyed purple, and she's got like these little horn rim glasses on. I was like, "Oh, you go ahead." But the place was fantastic. I mean, the food, it was, and it took a ton of discipline too, because they had cheesy grits.
Ooh, yeah.
Yeah.
You wanted some cheesy grits?
I did. They had crab legs.
Ooh. So you want to know my favorite Evan Champagne story?
What?
So it's actually very similar to the story you just told.
Evan has some swag though.
Oh, he does. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
don't let him fool you.
Evan, I don't know if he thought he was black in high school, but if he didn't think,
got some crossover.
Yeah, he's
Why are you killing Evan?
No, I love Evan to death. He would tell you all of this.
Yeah.
I think he had cornrows at one point. Like he was in it. Like he was deep.
But you can't ride with my guy Southern Vibing on TikTok?
I cannot. It's the voice. It's just literally the tone of his voice kills me.
Man.
But so Evan has always been
there
very
he is.
Culturally open.
Yes.
Yeah. He loves people.
Yep.
He'll go wherever.
Yep.
He doesn't know that there's a difference between him and anybody else. Like he loves it. So when we were in college, I would go back and visit him in Champaign. And I was there, I think it was over Christmas break one year before I went to go see my family in Houston. And so his favorite place at the time, it closed down. Otherwise, I'm sure he would have told you to go there, was this place called the Chicken Shack.
Okay.
Whatever you're imagining for the Chicken Shack, you are correct. Okay? I just want that when you think of a place called the Chicken Shack.
Okay, fair enough.
It's exactly what you're picturing, okay? Not only was Evan the only white person in there,
yeah,
I was the closest next white person in there. Okay? It would have been very appropriate to go in February. Okay. Let's just put it that way.
Wow.
There was a mural on the wall, and Evan's funny. You've been around. Evan's a funny dude.
He's a funny dude,
and he's quick.
Yep.
So there's this mural on the wall, and it's got Malcolm X, it's got Martin Luther King Jr., It's got a recently elected president.
Is there an MLK Boulevard? There's got to be an MLK Boulevard.
It might have
Champaign,
been on MLK Boulevard. The Chicken Shack may have been. I don't know for sure. I don't know the address.
So is that Boulevard?
But there was definitely a Cricket Wireless around. I could feel it. There for sure was. What?
You can't say that.
Why not?
Oh, okay, fine.
They're always on MLK Boulevard.
Bell bonds and nail shops too.
I don't know. I didn't see. I just knew if I needed a cell phone, I was covered. So there's this mural on the wall. It's MLK, it's Malcolm X, and it's recently, because it's like 2009, recently elected Barack Obama.
Yeah.
And as we're checking out, Evan's kind of looking around. He's like, "Oh man, that's a cool mural you got there." And they're like, "Oh yeah, we just finished the Obama part or whatever." And he goes, "I can't figure something out though." And they're like, "What?" He goes, "Where's Reagan?" And they're like, "Oh man, get out of here!" They like threw the bag of chicken at him.
Yeah, it was just class. And so for an event like that, and you're on their campus, you don't know how they're going to treat people from other schools.
Yeah.
But I'm telling you, man, shout out to. That was the close, you go to these around the country. You spend time on other people's campuses.
Yeah.
That was the closest thing to Nebraska nice as I had been around.
They're pretty legit. I've been there. I've been to Champaign several times, but I've been to a football game there. It wasn't Nebraska, Illinois. It was Illinois, Wisconsin. But they're super cool. They're really chill.
Oh, I bet that's
They're very. It was 07. It was the Juice Williams, Rashard Mendenhall team that was really good.
Yeah.
They're
former Steeler, Rashard Mendenhall.
That's right. You're one of your faves.
No.
But they're good people.
You would be proud of me too. I declined an offer because for some reason I kind of hit it off with some of the guys at the event.
Yeah.
The LeVar Arrington is exactly like
he comes on the radio.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. He actually wanted a do-over.
Really?
On the podium. He's like, yeah.
Can I try that again?
He's like, he goes, I do radio, man. I'm used to a do-over. Can I get a do-over?
Does he know radio's live?
Listen, I was in tears. So they all wanted to go, hey, Dana Howard. And he's like, hey, I was DB and it was only a 2-hour event. So it's not like I was there.
Yeah.
2.5 hours probably. The program was only like an hour 10.
Oh, they kept it tight?
Oh, it was
for that was for all three of them?
The social was longer than the program.
That's incredible.
No, it's about the same. So 6 to 7, dinner, we ate.
So hour 15, boom, you're done?
Yep.
That's awesome.
Yep. Done by 9.
That's beautiful.
Then, some people kind of fraternize. And he's like, hey, we're going to the smoke shop. And Joe's or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
I thought about it.
Smoke like cigars or meat?
Cigars.
Okay.
I don't smoke.
Yeah.
I can't even be around it.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to be the guy that was like, well, I don't smoke.
I don't really like cigars.
I haven't put anything lit to my lips since I was 27 years old. No, I wasn't going to be that dude.
No. And so I had to use the restroom. And I washed my hands, and I told our AD, I was like, guys, I don't know, man. Want to go to this smoke shop. We're all invited. So I went to the bathroom was on the other end, and went to go wash my hands. I came back, and they were getting ready to get on the elevator. I was like, where are you guys going? Oh, Queen said you were going to go smoke cigars, so we thought you left. I was like, I'm not going to just. No, I can disappear. Trust me. I can slide out of a room, but I always give you a heads up.
Yeah.
Even Friday night.
So you don't go full Irish goodbye.
No, we're sitting in the lobby.
Yeah.
I wasn't vibing. It's a lot of weird people telling these old stories. And I was like, I'm like, hey, if I'm gone and give me 20 minutes, I'm going to be heading towards the elevator. It's not personal.
Yeah, I'm done here.
Yeah. Queen's like, you're an idiot, but see you later. It was fine, but yeah, it was a heck of an event. Jalen Walker, not as big as I thought.
Yeah.
He's actually about the same size as CJ.
Well, CJ's a big kid.
Yeah.
I mean,
kind of.
He's what, 6'2", 240?
Yeah, rough. Probably he's down. He's down.
Okay. So, I mean, but like that's.
Yeah, they're about the same size.
You would think 6'2", 240. Like, I wouldn't, if you gave me an NFL roster and you pointed to a linebacker who was 6'2", 240, I wouldn't be like, oh, undersized.
Yeah, so CJ won high school, Walker won college, and Bond from Philadelphia won the NFL.
Yeah.
And obviously he's practicing, but it was
that's super cool. I didn't realize they did them all at the same event.
I didn't either.
Like, I thought this was the high school one.
Yeah.
So that's super cool.
It was way cool.
Because that makes it feel like a really big deal, especially for the high school kids.
Buckus family was in attendance, and Matt did a really, really good job. He's who came to the high school to present CJ. But it was cool. And as we were sitting in the airport, people were losing their minds over Ohio State just putting their foot in Illinois basketball. And then by the time we got on the tarmac, somehow Illinois was up 8.
I was going to say they won.
Well, I'm watching it on YouTube because I got this is the first time I've turned it off at Nebraska women's basketball game in a long time. But it was really starting to annoy me because of the same storyline. And plus, once Indiana kept extending the lead, the broadcast, it's hard to have filler. Right?
Yeah.
I was like, I don't want to listen to this.
Yeah.
So I flipped over and I'm like, these guys do. It was 42-36 or something like that. And so I'm watching, and I took it down to the wire on the plane before they told me to put my laptop away.
Yeah.
Because I run the hotspot from my phone onto my computer. And I'm like, these guys, I don't understand. Feel free to cap the Big Ten.
Dude, I can't.
Just give it a rundown. Like
I have no idea.
Ohio State looked good in the first half. Not so much. Michigan still continues to turn the ball over at an inordinate pace. They're 14-7 a night they give the ball away.
That's unbelievable.
14.7 times they turn it over.
That's an unreal number.
I mean, and we think Michigan State's good, right?
I think so.
You chomping at the bit to play USC or UCLA?
Not UCLA. Depends on not USC either. Depends
not really, right?
Depends on the day. And you don't know what day it's going to be.
I pegged Oregon to a T. How about that attendance last night?
Oh, gosh. It was less than you thought. It was like half of what you thought.
Yeah.
And you guessed low.
I guessed way low.
Yeah. Because you said 5, right?
Yep.
And that's about.
Couldn't have been 3.
That's a little less than half of their capacity.
Well, yeah, because
12.
Yeah.
Is I think what Maddie said that it holds. So you guessed 5. It ended up being probably sub 3. That's embarrassing.
And they swept the final 2, which helps me get to the 8 wins.
It does. I thought they were going to split this. Nebraska basketball going 2-0 this week.
Were you giving me the eye roll homer roll when I was going through the schedule?
Not really.
And plus, you made me do it like real time, so I couldn't overthink it.
That's why I wanted you to do it real time. But I thought 7-4. So I didn't think you were being a homer. I thought they were going to split these 2, and that got me to 7-4. The rest I basically agreed with, or I'd be like, maybe I trade this one for this one, but in the neighborhood. But it's not crazy. I mean, we both sat here and go, especially because we don't know what the Big Ten is.
And they've done the 2 things that I kind of wanted them to do.
What's that?
More minutes for the guy you hated on.
Who?
Mr. NDSU transfer.
Oh, I didn't hate on Morgan.
Less minutes for Mia.
Yes, 100%.
And my man JG, just a few less threes.
Playing within himself.
Yeah.
I like it. I got to say, the Bryce Williams midi game is pretty nice.
It's tough. His pull-up game is nice.
It's pretty nice. That 1-2 dribble, ooh, that's tough. That's DB. I'm Ravi. Lulla. We will set up the show and get to there's a lot going on this weekend.
Yeah.
Coming up next on Hurrdat Sports Radio.
We will be back. 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 You're listening to Hurrdat Sports Radio.
We all understand each other. We all understand the pressures of these jobs, the opportunities, all the great things that come with it. And so, when I see Fred Hoiberg, I have a special relationship with him that only him and I probably can understand. When I see Amy, I probably have that same thing, Coach Manning. And so, and Coach Cook's right there, it's those people, after you lose a game, you thought you were going to win. It's those people who usually text you, it's those people who usually pick you up because they understand just how hard coaching is and how hard building a program is. And so, you hate that. I mean, I thought, at the end of the day, when you get to be, you get to be in this business, at first you're trying to build something as a young coach. And at some point you start thinking about impact and legacy and all those things. And, when you saw, I thought the two videos I saw, first of all, for Coach Cook, to leave the program to a player who played for him. I mean, what an amazing impact, and then, saw him walking off the court and, Harper walking up and hugging him. And so just, over all these different years, at the end of the day, our true impact as coaches is on the people we coach.
Welcome back, Hurrdat Sports Radio. That's DB. I'm Ravi Lulla. We're live here at the Pillar Exterior stage. Coming up on the show today, we've got our Monday regular, Sam McKewon from the Omaha World-Herald, as well as Nick Bahe college basketball analyst for I think everybody at this point.
Yeah.
He's just doing his work.
Hired gun, baby.
Yeah, he's out. He's a man about the country, just jet setting around, doing games. I think he was at Utah State last night. Or Saturday maybe.
You know how sometimes you want to. I wanted to ask him because I was pretty disappointed because they had live music at the restaurant Sunday or Saturday morning for breakfast, but we sat on the bar side because of all good games like Tennessee was playing and so they had a live DJ on the other side, and so I was kind of all basketball Saturday. Like I literally just got to watch hoops, so I knew he was going to be on the left coast, so I was going to hit him up because I was pretty disappointed in the national broadcast with Creighton, and
that was rough. It was pretty rough.
Okay, so that wasn't just me.
No, I mean I had switched it up.
I'm not even talking about tactical and technical.
Yeah, like the mechanics of it.
I'm not talking
about
that. It was just bad. I'm talking about like the last 4 minutes of that game.
Mm-hmm.
Like DeMarsh and Brent, like they acted like they were disappointed.
Yeah.
Oh man, it's lucky, and I can't believe it. And like my man Donnie Marshall said, that's unfortunate. Like, what's unfortunate
for who?
You're the national guy.
Yeah,
you're not on the home team's broadcast.
I wouldn't think so.
I don't know, man.
It was weird.
He was so disappointed when Athworth's shot went in. They were so enamored by the bank. We barely got the ball screen, and like the play was designed.
The out of bounds play was incredible.
It was beautiful.
How on earth does Ashworth get that wide open?
Wide open.
And the shot wasn't the prettiest thing in the world. And I'll be the first one to tell you, nothing makes me feel worse as a shooter than banking a corner three.
Yeah.
Right? Because you missed that thing ugly.
A ton.
But in that moment, you don't care because you won the game and whatever. But the play to get him open is unbelievable.
Yeah, I didn't hear that when Caleb Love hit a 50-footer.
Oh, so lucky.
You know what I mean?
It's like, what's luckier, banking a corner three or a half court shot? Like, come on.
I don't know. I was not happy.
No, I had switched over to our guy JB at that point.
Yeah.
I was already out.
I should have.
Yeah.
But I'm in a hotel. I didn't have all my necessary tools.
And I'll be honest, I didn't sync it very well. So one was kind of ahead of the other.
I've kind of always ride with JB though. Anyway.
Yeah, Bishop does a great job on those broadcasts. And especially like he's solo on the road. Those are tough.
Mm-hmm.
Like those are tough broadcasts to do by yourself. And he does a great job. But yeah, it was a brutal effort by Brando and Marshall.
Why do you think they called timeout?
At which point?
The 3-9.
Oh, I don't, because Kyle Neptune's bad at his job.
You keep saying that. I don't know about that.
I'm not wrong. Just look at Villanova. Look at the talent Villanova's had.
Hey, when they kept miking him up in the huddle, I probably would play for him though.
I think people like him.
If he's like that all the time.
I think people like him, and I think he's very engaging, and he get people bought in. I just don't think he's very good at the basketball part, which is tough because I think he's got a lot of the other things you would want. Like
the roster's just okay though.
Last year the roster was pretty good.
Yeah,
like he's had some good players. This year it didn't really come together the way you would want it to. They should probably still be better than they are, but this year it's a little more understandable. But I don't know how much leeway he's gonna get.
We'll get to Nebraska
for multiple years
with Sam. I want him to.
Yeah, we'll get to Nebraska hoops, obviously. But I gotta ask you here, DB. I was
if you tease me about this, I'm careful.
Which part? You want me to tease you about?
It's gonna have something to do with me having a cheer for another star I don't like.
Yeah, I'm not really gonna tease you about it. I think I'm gonna slap your hand a little bit.
How are you gonna tell me you're gonna put me on punishment?
I just like to give you a heads up.
Okay, my mom tried that once. So
it's
ask her how that went.
You're about to put your nose in a corner.
Okay.
All right. So love that. Here's the thing. I've never met a single sports fan ever who is less grateful to have good players than you. You're in this group
That's
chat.
not true.
No, hold on. You're in this group chat, and we're all just in real time unpacking the WTF moment of Anthony Davis getting traded for Luka Doncic pretty much straight up. Okay? And I'm sitting there, I go, okay.
What four dudes don't text each other at 11:30 at night about trades?
About NBA trade? No, for me, it was a super normal conversation until DB comes off the top rope and he's like, man, now I got to root for Luka. Poor DB has to root for the no worse than the fourth best player in the league.
I can't stand it.
And that's on his worst night. And listen, I get that you don't like him stylistically. He's disappointed me in that area as well because I was very high on Luka coming in.
I don't like him for the very reason he allegedly did get moved.
For the conditioning?
Yes.
That's fine. He's even fat Luka is the fourth best player in the league.
Bro.
Act like Nikola Jokic is the pillar of fitness?
Dude, he plays hard, though.
So does Luka.
Man.
Luka plays hard.
He won't guard anybody.
That's because he can't guard anybody, not because he doesn't want to.
Because his ass isn't in shape.
Listen, I don't care if Luka weighs 120 pounds. He's not.
Are you really chastising me because I don't want to cheer for Luka and LeBron?
I'm chastising you because you've got the second best player of all time, and no worse, probably the second best player in the league, but no worse than best player in the league. And you're like, oh man, and you hate AD. You got rid of a guy you hate.
I don't hate AD like I hate LeBron and Luka,
dude. No, every other NBA fan in the league would have been streaking through the quad.
I was pissed.
Yes, that's ridiculous. That's absurd. Your franchise just reset the relevancy clock for another decade.
All right, but you know how this isn't a bit, right?
Yeah.
How long have you and I argued over Luka?
Forever.
Maybe since he came into the league.
I know it's not a bit, and that's why it's upsetting. If it was a bit, I could get over it. Because I'd be like,
since he came into the league, we've argued
just
about
being DB.
No, man.
I just can't even. You're complaining about, oh, I can't believe they signed Shohei Ohtani to the Dodgers. This is the worst. I don't even like that guy. Oh, I can't believe they traded Luka for 12 cents on the dollar.
It doesn't even sound right when you take it out of context.
You mean when I accurately describe how you feel about these situations? I can't believe they got Luka Doncic for a bag of potato chips and a washing machine. Oh, no.
So I'm very familiar with their relationship. I don't know the guys, but I do know Nico was Kobe's guy.
Yeah.
Right? Like, that was Kobe's guy. So there's this story about this Adidas to Nike thing and this bidding war. And so Nico was repping Nike. And when they went to the Kobe shoe, he, of course, dealt with Pelinka.
Yeah.
So the Mavs GM and Pelinka are because I've never liked Pelinka.
Yeah.
Right? Kobe's just rode with him because, like, that was his guy.
Yeah.
Right? Good businessman, whatever. I didn't ever want him in the front office.
Sure.
So I'm telling you, and I wasn't joking with that's a conversation that a guy has because how bad did the Mavs hate Luka?
Dude, that's what somebody texted Windhorse.
Seriously.
Brian Windhorse said he got texted by a current NBA All-Star that said, man, the Mavericks must really hate Luka.
You have to. You just make a call in not quite the middle of the night to move a guy.
So here's the thing.
Hey, Rob, man, Luka's on my last nerve, man. Give me AD. Okay, how do you want to work it? Well, I'll take this and this. Okay, cool. I bet you that conversation took 20 minutes.
Yeah, because Rob's like, yeah, of course. Yes. You only want the one first rounder? I've got a couple more. No, you're good? Cool. I'll throw Max Christie in because you're my bud? All right, got it. Like, are you kidding me?
Oh,
here's the problem I have, though. Even if you're out on Luka, the way they did it was idiotic.
Yeah.
We can get to that and much more. That's DB. I'm Ravi, Hurrdat Sports Radio.
We will be back. will be back. We will be back. We will be back. You're listening to Hurrdat Sports Radio.
Gives it to Luka, busting into the front court, three-point line, free throw line, off the window and in. 25 first-half points for Luka Doncic.
Welcome back, Hurrdat Sports Radio, AM 590, ESPN Omaha, ESPN Tri-Cities. That's DB. I'm Ravi. Lulla. We're here at Hurrdat Sports Bar and Grill, reminding you to get that seatbelt fastened as you're on your way to work this morning. It prevents injuries and saves lives, but only when worn properly. Make it click. This message from the NDOT Highway Safety Office. DB, let's get to our friend Out of Breath Brian here. Wants to talk a little Lakers, and hopefully he's on my side on this one because I think you're out of your mind. But Brian, what's going on, buddy?
Heck no, I ain't on your side. I ain't on your side on this one. Heck no.
Yeah, because when you're trading for a 25-year-old superstar, yeah, you got to get so mad about it. You got to be so mad.
The years might have changed, but ain't nothing changed that much. Okay. Sorry. When I saw the trade, I felt like somebody put a red hat on me, and I was reading fake news on TikTok. Then I seen it. It was real, and I started feeling like I got a car from Wilson's used cars because I wanted to check the Carfax. If you trade with somebody that young this early, especially being he don't play no defense, and he looked like he needs some. He I thought when they was trading him, I was like, man, they got to be trading him because this man later on going to find out only got 2 toes on his right foot or something.
Yes, so, like
it don't make no sense to me.
It's almost too good to be true, but I still don't love cheering for him. Like I'm waiting to hear like he's got cirrhosis of the liver or. I mean, this is a dude that they took a beer from because he's celebrating. Like
you got to drinking Old English after games and stuff. Out the back, you can't be doing that. I've never seen him. He looked like he should play baseball or something.
You moved a top 4 player in the league for a bag of magic beans.
And we in 4th place in the division now.
And listen, AD's not a scrub, right? He just was coming off of 41-20.
No, he's not a scrub.
But like,
but he's a tier below.
I like
Luka.
him more activity wise.
Well, they didn't. They didn't even shop the trade.
That's the problem. That's the problem I have. If you're out on Luka, I can get it. You can talk me into being out on Luka if you're Dallas. He's going to be owed a $350 million extension in the summer.
So, B, you want the dirty little secret? He coughed up the ability to get the max deal. Because once you got traded, he loses his max status.
He can't get the supermax.
He can't get the supermax.
So, like, I get.
So that's dirtball.
Yeah, they hate him. Like, they must hate him.
No, he's not crying over 3/160 or whatever he's probably going to. I would take the 3-year deal. Yeah, like he's not crying over 3/160, but
he'll probably be fine.
He's no longer eligible for the supermax.
He's not getting 70 a year anymore. Is what he's eligible for. Which, like, Brian,
only good thing.
Go ahead.
I can see. Only good thing I can see if LeBron and Bronny take that man to 24-hour fitness and start teaching them how to work out.
Stop playing Bronny. Knock it off.
Yeah.
That's why they had to trade for Luka to take minutes away from Bronny.
You don't like that superstar backcourt of the future? Bronny
and then he gets mad at me that I don't like cheering for him because they have good players. Nobody wants to see that.
Yeah, nobody wants their favorite team to have good players. You're right.
Yeah, whatever.
Everybody hates watching their favorite team. And like if the Cowboys or like if the who hates the Patriots the most? The Jets. If the Jets had traded for like Tom Brady at some point, that you think they would have been like, oh man, I hate Tom Brady. This is the worst.
Well, Tom Brady might be slow.
Minnesota. There are a lot of Minnesota Vikings fans that could never cheer for Favre.
Yeah, and then a lot of them forgot about that when they were good that year. Pretty quickly.
We're riding.
Worked out though.
We're riding on this one. My man.
Yeah, I'll wait to see it.
Thanks,
I'll wait to see what happens. I don't believe it, but you guys have a great day.
Appreciate the call, Brian. Here's my issue. Let's say you're out on Luka.
I am.
No, not you. I mean Dallas.
Okay.
I know you're not making good decisions over there. So
Good morning again.
I get if you're Dallas and you go, okay, we don't want to be stuck in the Joel Embiid, Zion Williamson purgatory where these guys aren't playing, they're not in shape, we're paying them $70 million a year. I get that. That makes sense to me. What doesn't make sense to me is not to let the entire league know, hey, Luka's on the market, right?
Yeah.
They made one phone call to his buddy and gave him a sweetheart deal. There is no way. Literally 24 hours later, De'Aaron Fox got 3 number ones. De'Aaron Fox got 3 ones, 3 2s, and a decent player.
Yeah, and the Bulls get a pick back.
The Kings got 3 1s, 3 2s, and Zach LaVine, who's never been my favorite, but he's still pretty good.
Yeah.
And his AD's better. I get that. So maybe you're not getting the 3 1s and 3 2s plus AD. You couldn't get a second one? That's what happens when you're like, you know what? Car dealership, I think that's a fair price. I will pay sticker.
Shane, do we have a breaking news simulated sounder?
Do we have? Yeah, give us some breaking news, Shane. What do we got?
Well, and long rumored, now official, Nebraska gets their special teams coach.
Who do we got?
I'm coming home. Tell the world I'm coming.
It's Carl
home.
Pelini. No.
I don't even recognize. Were you in the locker room?
But
he was there at the time. The other guy, Coach Eckler. Welcome back.
Oh, there we go.
Come on back, Coach Eck.
Mike Eckler's back. I thought maybe they were going to go get John Papuchis
do you know we never unfollowed each other from
really?
social media? Yeah.
I thought
my
maybe
dude.
I thought maybe they'd go try and steal a coach from Florida State since Florida State was stealing coaches here. We're like, hey, get John Papuchis back up here.
I get another one of my guys back.
Mike Eckler back in town.
Nobody's happier than me. And his daughters love Nebraska. Let's go.
The boys are back in town. Mike Eckler.
They didn't want to wear that creamsicle anymore. They were all in on the red.
That's fine.
There you go. New special teams coach. Is everybody cool now? Can we stop freaking out? We good?
No. Hey, so
No.
my man Denny did bring up a good point the other day.
DP?
My fake friend Dennis.
Oh, okay. The Denny I don't like.
Well, you don't know if you wouldn't like him. So we were talking about special teams.
Yeah.
Okay. Now keep in mind, this is on the cusp of being bad about the Creighton broadcast.
Okay.
So I'm already kind of in the mood. It's Saturday afternoon.
A little bit?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Like I'm kind of dreading. They wanted to leave at like 5:15 for an event that didn't start until 7. So that was making me mad.
Yeah.
It's literally a 60-second van shuttle.
Yeah.
So I'm like,
because you're like across the street from where you're.
Literally.
Yeah, you're literally across the street.
I walked it that morning.
Which is what, a 5-minute walk?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
I mean, because I had to go. This looks so sketch. I like went down and through a ravine to kind of go back up over where the stadium was. And we took a golf cart ride home from the event.
So you didn't even take a car?
No. And it was freezing.
Nice.
But anyway, I sat in the back too. There were jokes.
Back of the golf cart?
Yeah, somebody said Rosa Benning. I said, it's February. Chill. Be kind.
You weren't doing your best like Legend of Bagger Vance impression or anything like that?
Hey, knock it off.
It's a good movie.
So we're having this conversation, and it made so much sense real time. I had to get clarity on what he was saying.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, wait, don't let this go. Like, how do we go from special teams needs a complete overhaul and a readjustment to just talking about long snapping mechanics? And I was like, yeah.
That's fair.
That's right.
That's fair.
That was a fair.
Yeah, it's fair critique.
Fair critique.
Yeah.
So I said, hey, let me make, in typical DB fashion.
Let me make a call.
No, kinda. No. So no, I didn't make a call. I went back and listened.
Okay, fair.
I went back and I'm like, okay, let me wipe my emotional slate clean, because I was riding with him right from the jump. So number one, I wanted to make sure I knew what he was saying. Like, what exactly are you bothered by?
Mm-hmm.
And then I went back and listened. And so it's a good thing I did so that I didn't make decisions in the moment, because I hit him back. And like we went, this is like fairly extensive. I said, I played the quote. I played it in context, and he said, not that he wasn't not disappointed in special teams. He said, I have to screenshot this and then blow it up because your boy can't read, so you have to just give me a second.
I can't read.
Well, it's too small, man. He goes, I'm always very protective of our players, but I'll be quite honest, even in the interviews. I don't think anything we did was wrong schematic. This is where I think my friend Dennis is not happy.
Vibing.
He's not vibing.
Yeah.
Because you just said a couple weeks earlier,
Need overhaul.
And he's been pissed all year.
Yeah.
Right. But he prefaced it with not wanting to talk bad about the player. So that right there disarmed me. It let me know. He's like, man, some of my guys just got to play better.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's what I think he's saying. Then he says the rest. I don't think anything we did was wrong schematically last year. I think a lot of our problems stem from the long snapper position. Once that happens, you're trying to compensate for things. So, for example, we were really spoiled with a guy named William DePuter. Great snapper. We didn't have as crisp. We had a really good snapper, not as crisp. Obviously, I mean, Will's walked on to snap, so he's pretty good at what he does. And so there are things that you have to do differently, whether it's the distance, whether it's max protecting versus being in spread protecting, whatever. And he said it just wasn't a good year from that perspective. You think about scheme, you think about all these other things, but really at the end of the day, it comes down to technique and fundamentals. When something at its very core is not right, then all the elements aren't right either. So that got me to chill, because you agree with that, right?
Also,
I mean, Barney can't be fielding balls at the 1. That's not
schematic.
That's not tactical.
Yeah. Maybe
that's not technical. It's tactical.
Well, we'll get to Sam, and I'm sure we'll talk about this, but maybe he meant something else from total overhaul.
We
didn't think he meant.
And I will get to that.
Sam McKewon coming up next.
We will be back. We will be back. We will be back. We will be back. You're listening to Hurrdat Sports Radio.
I think that we have a lot of guys who can probably return. I think the big thing is probably the battery, like the kicker, Tristan getting healthy. I think John, when given the opportunity with a good snap hold, he was excellent as the year went on. So we'll have I think, two excellent kickers. Camden is here as a punter, who we think is a really, really talented young player. And then, you bring two players in with experience, right? They have reps. And, while snapping at New Hampshire might be a little different than snapping at Nebraska, really at the core of it, it's the same, right? Like the ball's going back the same distance, the same speed. And so we erred on the side of production and went out and found guys we thought would be really reliable. And so, again, just trying to address it with players, trying to address it with the leadership in the room, trying to address it with emphasis and having a fresh new lens, set of eyes. A lot of the guys that we've interviewed have just asked, hey, what do you see? And just trying to see a different perspective. And then Phil Snow, as we've gone through these interviews, he's really leading a lot of the interviews for me. So I'm in the room, but he's asking things again from a maybe different perspective than I have. I think you guys will find that I trust Phil.
Kicking off hour number 2 here on Hurrdat Sports Radio, presented by Centris Federal Credit Union. That's DB. I'm Ravi Lulla. We are joined now by Sam McKewon from the Omaha World-Herald. Sam, how are you this morning?
Good. How are you guys?
Oh, awful subdued. Sam, you're going to get like one of the few last nice weather days in Lincoln, man. You got to enjoy.
It's not that nice out today. Oh, it was yesterday. It was very nice yesterday.
It was not warm in Champaign, Urbana/Chicago. It was significantly colder there than it was here. So I hope you enjoyed your weekend.
What were you doing in Champaign, Urbana?
We had it was the Butkus Award. So they did the high school, college, and NFL Butkus Award winners. It was sensational. Very hospitable folks down there in old Champaign. I have nothing.
Right. Yep.
They were good people. I'm big fan of their AD. They did a class event. Big.
Yes.
Fan.
Yep. Yeah. He's a good guy. Josh Whitman is his name, and he's made some pretty good hires in recent years.
He was super sharp, but. I want to stay right here before we get to we're going to split your time, obviously. We're going to go Nebraska football, Nebraska basketball. But with the return of Eckler, tell me the tenor or the tone that you were feeling Saturday as he's walking us through special teams and how he saw it versus the end of the game at the Pinstripe Bowl where he says we need a complete overhaul. How did you bridge the gap? What were your takeaways from Saturday as you heard what he said?
Well, when you're just after a football game, there's a lot of emotions running and kind of coursing through your veins. And I think in that moment, he probably just felt like, you know what, enough. And some of that was, they had other issues than the Snappers. Their return game was very iffy, especially in the punt group. But yeah, I think that's part of it. And then on Saturday, I think it's more, hey, we did a lot of good things in terms of our approach and our schemes and our mindset. Now we just need to get better at executing. And he said, the roster is better than it was last year. And I think he was referring to the special teams guys, but it frankly can be more than that. So, I think he, I think there's a sense of wanting to maybe turn the temperature down on the level of change. Now, that said, if you're hiring Mike Eckler, which seems to be the case, you're going to get an overhaul.
Yeah.
You're going to get one. You're going to get an attitude overhaul and a culture overhaul. That guy is all fire.
Intense.
Yeah. And you're going to get it. So whether you want it or not, that's what's going to happen. Now, schematically, you don't have to overhaul everything, but he will have a completely different tenor to the role, and not that Foley was like a mild guy, but Eckler will just have a whole different fire to it, and he'll talk in a certain way, and he'll get those guys fired up, and he will bounce around the field. That's who he is. I'm sure he'll have a thought or two about the linebacker position, which is his expertise and his forte. So,
because
Eckler's,
as I'm
hire.
As I'm listening from like the emotional standpoint of BC and the season versus what I saw there's one thing I can really appreciate about Coach Rule that I think is more of an explanation than an excuse, because I still think at the end of the day he's going to take accountability. I do see where, you may run, because I know they spend a fair amount of time on special teams. Like, I can vouch for that. It's not – I watch – you can see strategy and what they're after and live gunners and live returners. Like, I've seen – like, that's a real thing. That's not made up. The one thing that I could appreciate that I think we have to be able to sift through when he says it is if he prefaces something where he says, I don't want to speak bad about the players or throw the players under the bus, I think that's code for him saying, but sometimes we just got to play. You got to play better, right? Like if that thing is supposed to be punted down the right hash, punt it down the right hash. Nobody's telling you to return a ball from the 1 yard line or something like that. You know what I mean? So yeah, because what you're immediately going to get from like the fan base is, well, if you're not coaching it, then you're allowing it, and it's like, but we don't get any inklings of that in practice. So sometimes you have to kind of go through it. You know what I mean? Yes, absolutely. I mean, I think and snapping is such a specific skill. Oh yeah, it is. It's brutal. It's like darts, and I'm not trying to say it's but again, it's a skill, so it's not easy to control. You really do have to recruit it, and just like when you put a punter out there, you put a kicker out there, you're basically putting a wedge in their hand from 92 yards out and saying, "Oh, I'm gonna put it within 5 feet," and do it with a much larger ball than a golf ball. And that's not easy to do. Like, it's hard. It's very hard. And it used to probably be more like, well, kick it down there and we'll see what they do with the return. But special teams has become way more specialized since then. So now it really is about elite kickers and elite punters and elite snappers. And you used to almost expect that you get 2 or 3 punts blocked a year, but that's not the case now. Like that's just not what you do. And so the level of quality that you have to have is very high. And on some level, you have to recruit it. You have to recruit a person who's able to do it, and then a person who's able to perfect their craft. And Nebraska's been hot and cold there, and the snapper thing is the one area where you would never expect it to crop up, but sometimes it does. And I'm obviously curious to see how good of a punter McAllister is coming in. And it does look like they have their kicker, or at least one kicker. I don't know, maybe they have 2. So, I did think it was interesting because he's not a guy that will like throw you a soft bone in a presser. That he started with Tristan and made the distinctions between, hey, when Hole gets good snaps, good holds, he's proven. Like him making that distinction out loud, I think he's telling us the exact truth on how he feels. Between his 2 kickers. Yes. I think so. Right? I think so. Yeah, absolutely. And I think he and Hull proved it at the end of the year. So he did a good job. And he missed one against Iowa, but that was a bad snap too. Cost him the game, unfortunately, in a lot of ways. But that wasn't his fault. I mean, it was a bad snap, and they ran into that kind of problem all year. So I'm sure they hope that it's been fixed, and they don't have a situation where people might recall if Nebraska's up 13-0 early in the third quarter against Iowa, then the 10 points don't matter. And at the end of the game, you get the ball back, you run out the clock, the game's over. And that's it. You don't even worry about the rest of it. But that's not what happened. Sam McKewon here for make field goals. Sam McKewon here for Tiger Woods using the 7-iron out of the rough at Pebble in 2000. The impractical shot. That's the equivalent to long snapping, right? No, that degree, nobody could make that shot other than Tiger. So we're just going to go back with using the 56 or 60 degree club. Sam, that's long snapping? No, it's a highly. I mean, the kickers and the punters will use golf as an analogy. I don't know what the snappers do. It's funny. We have a couple guys that are pretty neurotic at our place for snapping and holding, and like when you're getting down into tenths, and it's not me. I see some other guys. Oh, okay. When you're getting down to like 2-2 versus 2-1 versus 1.9 versus 1.8. You're 100% right, Sam. Like it is. You don't have a ton of margin for error. It doesn't work.
No, it doesn't. And again, I have little doubt that they can figure those things out. Some of it is recruiting. Again, Eckler will come in with a lot of energy. He'll give a really good press conference. At some point, he'll talk to somebody about the van and the running on this road and all that other stuff. That's the key for him coming in is he's got to take all of his energy and infuse it into that group. You know, and he will. Yeah. I mean, let's be clear. The last 4 years, I think at this point, like I'm more interested in what gets done on the field. He is an incredible story. He's a quirky guy. You know, he's one of these guys that could probably do a free solo climb up a mountain wall. He's an incredible person.
Yeah.
But what he did at Tennessee, he was really good there. And no joke. Like he did a great job there. And I kind of know our media corps, so they'll get caught up in the other stuff. But like the reality is he did a really good job there, especially if they're return units. And they got to be good there. And Nebraska's got to be better there, and they can be. And Eckler will infuse that energy. I think the way that he is matches the moment of coaching. Like, I think it matches the moment, you know, and he'll have a big supporter in Will Compton. Obviously, Compton's a big Eckler guy. I think Levante was too, you know, he coached Levante for a year. So, you know, I mean, I think he's got a lot of credibility coming back here, and he will do a good job. They have struggled to have that level of, you know, excitement and care factor on the special teams. Not with Foley, but certainly before that. I mean, one year they did it with, you know, an analyst and that nobody even knew, and he was breaking the rules. And then they had other guys doing it who didn't really want to do it. So, like, Eckler loves it. He'll do it. He will be passionate about it, and Nebraska will get better as a result.
Talking to Sam McKewon from the Omaha World-Herald. Sam, one more football question before we switch over to basketball here. Obviously, Nebraska gets the commitment of Rocco Spindler from Notre Dame.
Mm-hmm.
How do you feel good about the offensive line room now? You still a little worried about tackles? Like, where's your mindset with that room now?
Well, you're always worried about the offensive line because you're worried somebody's going to get hurt. That's life. But they're a lot better than they were. So you do the best you can. I mean, that's just how life is. I'm sure there's been years where Michigan, who was probably the best offensive line consistently in the last 5 years, are like, oh, we don't have anybody. You know, like, that happens. Mm-hmm. Ohio State, you know, won a national championship with a constantly changing offensive line. So you do the best you can. And I think Nebraska's done really well there. I thought Rule's comments about the defensive line on Saturday were notable too. He's like, it's going to be hard to replace Ty Robinson. He's right. It's going to be hard to replace Nash Hupmaker. He's right. I don't know that they have that. Williams Nwaneri could become it, but he's not 295 pounds right now. He's 265, 270. I've heard people compare him to Randy Gregory, and I'm like, well, that's fine. You need people inside though. You know, like you need inside players too. You can't. That's great if he's out there and he's being Randy, but I don't know that he is Randy. First of all, there's not many Randys. Second of all, you know, I just don't know. I don't know if they want to put 25 pounds on Nwaneri and move him inside or what they want to do. We know what they want to do with McCullough, and that was good to hear that they want to make him an edge rusher. I think that's where he needs to be.
Now I'm not doing this. Because I think we undervalue how special RG was. And remember, this is a guy that got multiple opportunities in the league, given what was coming with the baggage. So I'm not on the Gregory comparisons at all. But if I was going to choose between Nwaneri and McCullough, McCullough's much closer, in my opinion. Than that, because I mean, Gregory, he's going to get forgot about because it comes with a lot of other stuff. His skill set, very, very, very few peers in the last 15 years that have touched that campus. So I mean, Gregory was different. He was different.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I mean, and people don't, and it doesn't make any difference. It's fine. But people do that all the time, and like you got to watch it a lot, and you got to like, no, there's no comparison. What they could really use right now is a Malik Collins, and I don't know if they have that. People might remember Gregory and Malik were on the same team in 2013, and those two players are very important on that defensive front. It's probably the best defensive front Nebraska's had since joining the Big Ten, and so you have to find somebody who can be a plug in the middle. And I don't know exactly who that's going to be at this moment. Elijah Judy, obviously they would love for that to be the case. I don't know if it will be. Who are the other large bodies in there? Ty and Nash were unique. They were big guys, and they were very strong, and they could move a little bit. And Ty could really move. So that's the question mark. The offensive line, they'll be okay. A lot of these teams have to mix and match, but on the defensive line, that's the question. The interior of the defensive line, how do they stop the run? How do they make other teams, one-dimensional?
Sam, as we switch gears to basketball here, Nebraska obviously got back on the right track this past, 4 or 5 days, going 2 ranked wins, 1 home, 1 away. Is there, I guess, what is your expectation of this team going from 12-2 to 6-game losing streak to 2 straight ranked wins? Like, do you have any idea who this team is?
Well, I put on Twitter after the game, and I've been telling people for a week now I thought they could beat Oregon.
Oh yeah,
I did.
Right there with you.
Yeah, and that's a little bit about Oregon. I don't think that team,
agree.
They're not very good. They're not as good as their ranking. I don't know what they are, but there wasn't anybody who watched that game last night wasn't like overwhelmed by anything Oregon did. Illinois, by contrast, is a better team. I mean, and they beat they beat Oregon by like 32. Nebraska just got a night where Illinois missed everything, and that's sometimes that happens. And so I thought they beat Oregon. I think they'll beat Washington. I think they can win. They can beat Ohio State and Maryland at home. Now they'll have that crowd, juiced and ready to go on Super Bowl Sunday.
And all of a sudden, Northwestern isn't healthy either. I mean,
right.
Huge injury.
Yeah, it's huge. So there's all kinds of things that they can pull off here. They can't. Obviously, they can't look past the next game. They got to one game at a time. But you've got to get some momentum and confidence in that room, and you got to start believing. Offensively, late against Oregon, it was a little bit adventurous, but they figured it out, and obviously when Bryce Williams is dialed in and he knows what he wants to do with the ball, he's good. They've gone back to now, okay, Bryce, you're not coming off the wing again. Now you're just bringing the ball up the floor. And if we got to isolate you and get you a screen up top and do what you got to do, that's what they're doing. So they've moved back to that. I think they understood that there's only so much they could ever do with the point guards that they currently have. And so now Bryce is back to the point guard, and that makes sense for their half-court offense. So I think they got to get to 20 to feel really good about making the NCAA tournament. Right now they're at 14, which means down the stretch you're going 6-3. And if you go 6-3, then you end up 10-10 in the league. And I think that gets you in. So think about it that way. And, if they got to 20 in the Big Ten tournament, okay, maybe it's going to be close. But I think 20 or 21 wins puts them in the NCAA tournament. 20 in the regular season, 21 with the Big Ten tournament. Like that, if they won 19 in the regular season, then they went and won 2 and wherever the hell the tournament is, then I think they're in. Because their resume is there now. They beat Creighton. They won at Oregon. Those are huge. Those are going to be very, very important wins. Beating UCLA and Illinois is good too, because both those teams are NCAA tournament teams. So we'll see what happens.
Sam, I was just talking with a buddy off air about this over the break, and he's crunching numbers, and we're talking. Nebraska was giving up. Listen, it was a nation's worst, 46% almost from 3 during the 6-game losing streak. Coincidence, or can we bottom line before we fast forward projection, right? Oh, Nebraska's going to be here. How closely do we just need to look at how they defend the 3-point line? Because during that 6-game losing stretch, they weren't getting to the foul line, and they're giving up 46% of their threes. against Illinois and Oregon. I mean, Illinois was 10 of 42. Oregon is 5 of 20. You're 15 for 62 in those two games, 20-some%. I mean, maybe it's just defending the arc. Nebraska scrambles with how they defend the post. They double, they triple. It's kind of chaotic. Those two teams couldn't make Nebraska pay on kickouts for good looks. How much do we just need to look at how they defend the three?
I think that's important. Don't get me wrong. I think they have to defend the three well, and it takes a lot of effort and grit to get those things done. I think some of it too, though, is when they get to the line, they win. They shoot free throws really well, and they did that against Oregon. They drew a lot of fouls. They were physical. They got downhill. They didn't settle for too many stupid threes. They had a few they did, but they got downhill and they played a physical brand of offense too. Think of it like a run game. You got to get to the rim. Just keep going down the guts of the defense. They did that, and they've got to keep doing it. They have to accept who they are on offense and defense and grind it out. It isn't a vintage Hoiberg team. It's not a 26 win team. It's not a pretty team, but maybe you get to the tournament and Big Ten tournament, you win a couple there, then you go to the NCAA, you grit out a 62-60 win for your first ever win. You never know how it's going to happen. Nebraska has to keep tough though and do what they're doing and yeah, I mean I've been impressed with the way that Hoiberg is. He had to get a little pissed off in the one press conference, but I think his team heard that. He did a few things. He never overreacts, but he did a few things, and those few things were apparently enough to get his team's attention.
That's Sam McKewon from the Omaha World-Herald. Sam, we appreciate the time as always. We'll talk to you again next week.
Take care, man.
Thanks, Sam.
That is Sam McKewon from the Omaha World-Herald. You asked a question about kind of defending the three-point line, and
I mean, is that just coincidence?
No, it's not coincidence, but it's weird for Nebraska, right? Because there is a certain amount of their defense that's allowed to give up some shots.
No, I know. That's what I'm saying, right? I mean, McLean walked through it, right?
Yeah.
The unusual of a triple from the post that doesn't come from topside, like weak side. Hey, baseline, you may get three. I mean, most teams won't get three guys around the ball, right? Because it can be unsound.
Right. But it's weird because when they're playing well, when their defense is playing well, I do think they're executing their defense better.
Like kind of the scramble off the initial double.
But they're still going to give up some looks that look open. But I think there is a pretty big difference offensively on how those looks feel to the shooter.
Gotcha.
If that makes sense. We can get into that more here in a second. But like
what Shellstead got the open three off of Bryce's bad miss where Bryce just doesn't close out.
Yes.
That's different than scrambling and giving up a three.
100%.
I got you. I watched that real time.
Not all open threes are created equal.
I got you.
Is my point. We'll get to that and more. Oh, by the way, it is Super Bowl week. Maybe we'll get to that at some point this week as well. Probably.
It's a lot.
That's DB. I'm Ravi, Lulla, Hurrdat Sports Radio.
We will be back. 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 You're listening to Hurrdat Sports Radio.
I think it's really going to be hard to replace a guy like Ty Robinson. I think he's, I went down to Mobile and watched him and talked to people with him. I mean, he's just an absolute dude. He's a freak, difference maker, athlete, tough guy, competitor. Nash, he went to the East-West game and put on a show, and he's big, physical. MJ did an amazing job for us of setting the edge and playing hard, and then Jamari had production at times. So to replace those guys, but that's going to be the same thing year after year after year. I feel good about the guys we have. I think we brought some guys in, but the guys that were on the roster last year, the Keonos, the Riley Van Poppel, Cam Lenhart, they've been waiting for their turn. And we play a lot of guys on the defensive line. I think we have an excellent defensive line coach coming in. Next, Phil's going to do a great job as the edge coach, and we'll be good enough to win it.
Welcome back, Hurrdat Sports Radio, AM 590, ESPN Omaha, ESPN Tri-Cities. That's DB. I'm Ravi Lulla here at the Pillar Exterior Stage. So, DB, Sam brought something up there, and we've heard a lot of people talk about this when I ask them about transfers, and I ask them about, is there anything that's left needed? And then Coach Rule kind of addressed it there in the press conference Saturday as well, and it's this replacing Ty and Nash thing, right? Mm-hmm. Especially Ty. Ty is the one that gets all the run about, what do you do without Ty Robinson? And I asked you during the break, and I go, okay, am I crazy, or do you just go to a forefront? Like, I know that's not as simple as it sounds, but that's kind of the issue people have with the odd man front, right? Is you need this giant, dominant nose tackle to kind of hold everything together. And especially in college, like, those guys are not easy to find.
Yeah. So I felt like, and I'll say this, and then I want to get to the clip, and then I'm going to come back.
Okay.
So even versus odd, people, you know, I think it's more to talk about. I think the safer way to do it is, remember, odd numbers are gaps, even are head up.
Mm-hmm.
So if I'm in a 1, I'm on the shoulder of the center. If I'm in a 3, I'm on the outside shoulder of the guard. If I'm in a 5, I'm in an outside shoulder of the tackle. If I'm in a 4, I'm head up on the tackle. If I'm in a 2, I'm head up. If I'm in a 0, I'm a true nose.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not so much about 4 fronts versus 3 fronts. It's about
gaps versus head up.
Can we play a certain way? Like if we play an odd front, we play an odd front at school.
Mm-hmm.
We could do it a couple of different ways. Sometimes we play with 404s. We play with head up tackles. We play head up on the tackles. When we play with a nose, we ask our insides to be inside run fitters. We kind of declare the gap. Sometimes we'll put them in a 4 and we put them on the move. So we'll say, hey, slam B gap. If let's say we go big, we get in a bigger front. We may play with a 1, a 3, a 5, and a 7.
Mm-hmm. That's all the way outside.
Across the front.
Yeah.
Right? So the gaps inside change, as does what we ask you to do.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, lighter, quicker guys, we may not play as much head up. And if we do, we put them on the move. Because we don't want you occupying, reading ahead all the time, right? Yep. Some guys are really good at that. What did we hear Ryan Roberts talk about with Ty? He's good reading the V of the neck, holding up at the point. Like, he's that guy.
Holding up at the point of the attack.
One-on-one, not probably where he does his thing, because he's not going to be like a Louisiana Bayou guy, right? So you can play differently.
Yeah.
You don't have, if you don't have a tie, you can play differently.
You play gaps instead of head up.
Yeah, Shane. Now this clip drew the ire. It didn't draw mine. But I'll give you an example. Shane, play that clip from James Williams that made its rounds.
Yeah, for sure. I think the great thing in the genius about Coach White is that although this is a 3-3-5 defense, he's very multiple. You know, he doesn't just focus on just the 3-3-5 and sticking to it, even if it doesn't work. He is someone who sees the personnel around him and what he has and will adjust to that. If we are a faster group, he'll play a faster kind of defense. If we're a bigger group, he'll play a bigger kind of defense. He's not someone who you have to adjust to his system, although that partly is true. You know, he'll always incorporate what kind of talent he has. And I think, like, in my first couple of weeks here, experiencing like some of the talent that we have at DB and linebacker that, no offense to Nebraska, but like we may not have had there, and like the depth that we have, I think like he's going to have a lot of fun being able to play around with that and disguise coverages and you know, sub in different packages and all that kind of stuff, as opposed to Nebraska.
Perfect example of what I'm talking about, and I'll get to the comparison of the talent here in a second. So, what's he mean when he says bigger? Well, he can let MJ Sherman, he can change his technique from a stand up coming off the edge. He can put him what I would call thick on an outside shoulder of a lineman, right? It doesn't seem like much, but tackles can now not get off clean to the second level, right? You're reading that neck, you're holding stout at the point of attack. Conversely, like if he has a lighter, quicker guy and he's playing him on the edge, you may not want James Williams playing like that. You may put him in you may put him on air. You may put him in a stand-up. On air just means he's
lined up outside of the line.
like a wide.
Yeah.
I don't say 9s a lot, but
basically,
yeah,
the further.
So you can put him in a wide 9 or go 7, however you guys want to refer to it, and they get after the passer. Now you give up something, right? Tackles are unoccupied. They're clean to get to the second level. You better hope it's a pass. There's lots.
Yeah.
But that's where that's where the numbers matter more than the body types.
Sure.
Because if you're quicker and you can get on the move, listen, if you don't have a tie, you can't play tie-esque. Think of Coach Pelini when we felt like something changed when he lost either Carl or the body type changed. When you go from a guy that can two-gap, which means basically you're occupying. Two-gap means two-gap. You're reading that via the neck, head outside, head inside. You get to come back underneath as a D lineman. Sometimes it can be it's grimy. It's really grimy. That's not something you probably want to do with a guy like Sue, but if he already commands a double, you have to fit in one less gap across the front.
Sure.
So it just depends on what you have.
On your personnel.
Yeah. Why was Sue so good? Because he had a really, really good player down the road from Kozad and Crick
right next to him.
That you couldn't single. So let's say you slide towards Crick because he's in a 3 and Sue's in a 1, and you can't really double. So you're asking your center to, hey, you got this guy? I mean, that's a nightmare.
Yeah.
Like that's, and I didn't want to, I mean, no disrespect to Malik Collins, but Crick and Sue was the best defensive. Although Sam did say since they moved to the Big Ten, right?
Yes. I believe so.
Okay. Yeah. So he's cool there. Because I was like, ooh, that tandem of Sue and Crick.
No, Crick and Sue were definitely better.
But anyway, like you can play differently. Right. And the reason why, and again, did the comments from Williams bother you? They didn't bother me.
Not really.
And don't let me talk you into it.
Because a bunch of people sent that to me on Twitter over the weekend.
It didn't move my needle at all.
So here's the only thing that I would push back on with the James Williams comments.
Hopefully that makes sense about the fronts.
It does. There's a lot there, but it does. We can unpack that more kind of throughout the week as well. But there's the big thing with the James Williams comments is it's really hard for me to look. And I watch a lot of Florida State football. Obviously, I watch a lot of Nebraska football. If you're talking about just pure talent, sure, Florida State's probably got the edge on Nebraska, especially in the secondary where we weren't enamored with some of the guys back there this year, right? I will say it's pretty tough to go to a 2-10 team and be like, oh, they're way more talented.
So I think we're overthinking it.
Okay.
I do, because I definitely think we're overthinking it. But now that I listen to you say it out loud, I'm sure that's what people are thinking.
That's how I think it's very easy to take it that way.
So I took it as, I don't think he's making a productivity compare and contrast. I think he's looking at body types and versatility.
Probably.
Well, that's what the question was.
Sure.
The question
That's
was
where it came from, the versatility with Tony White's defense.
The question was about body types and versatility.
But it sounded like
So
he
if
made it about something else.
But no, it doesn't though. Why? Where did it sound like he made it about something else?
When
he said, I look at some of the guys in the secondary and at the linebacking core, and no offense to Nebraska, but with the athleticism, he can maybe do more things. That's no different than anything we thought all year. We didn't love our athleticism. We constantly belabored it.
Right. Well,
not we as in
not you and me necessarily, because I would argue I wasn't so much worried about the athleticism.
He may look back at 2-10. He may be like, ooh, these guys are small and fast. He didn't say how good they were. He didn't.
He did say talent, though. He did say talent, and we think talent equals good.
Yeah, productivity. Yeah, it doesn't.
More Hurrdat Sports Radio coming up next.
We will be back. be back. We will be back. You're listening to Hurrdat Sports Radio.
We're back here on Hurrdat Sports Radio. That's DB. I'm Ravi, Lulla, live here at Hurrdat Sports Bar and Grill. Lot going on this weekend.
I know, right?
This
makes the rundowns and show prep. Like, can we be that disciplined?
Oh, no, 100% we cannot. It's a good thing we've got all week because we've got a lot to cover. I was actually trying to – go ahead.
No, you go.
Well, I was going to change subjects from what we were talking about before, so you've got more on that. Go ahead.
Well, I don't. I just think the whole talent versus productivity thing.
Oh, that's like my baby.
I think we missed the mark on what he was saying. I really do.
Very well could have been.
I don't. It didn't move my needle at all, but I don't want to tell people how to think. I'm just saying we're being disingenuous and we're not being honest with ourselves because
we weren't in love with the talent here.
And he alluded to something that it may not have. Let's say you're right. Let's say 80% of the people that took that content are Ravi Lulla-esque.
Okay.
And they're going to bottom line this thing and be like, well, how can a 2-10 team?
I don't even think how can. It's just the optics of it.
Okay.
Because I've seen
optics are a word we use when we don't have enough info.
Well, that's fine because we don't.
It's just lazy.
Well, no, because we don't really have enough info because we don't know what he meant.
Okay, but it's okay if we don't have to have a strong thought on that's what he meant.
That's fine, but I do understand why people took it poorly.
Yeah, because what if he looks back there, hypothetically? What if he looks back there and he doesn't see a Gifford or a Hartzog?
That he probably likes that better.
No, let's not get into likes and dislikes. What if he doesn't see a Gifford or a Hartzog?
Just from a body type.
Just from an athleticism standpoint.
He probably is impressed.
Is that so could that be what he's saying?
100% it could be.
Does that mean he thinks they're better?
Not necessarily.
Doesn't have anything to do with it. That's what I'm telling you. Like, I didn't get into 2-10 versus 7-4.
I get that. I understand what you're saying. I also understand, though, when people will look at what he said and go, hey, there might be some truth to what he's saying. We weren't in love with the talent of Nebraska.
I think he was being honest when he said no. It wasn't a disrespect. Not everything has to be like, ooh, burn.
I thought more it was he probably would have worded it differently if given a second chance.
What do you want him to say?
Maybe more versatile instead of more talented.
Dude, he's 20.
I understand that. I'm saying if he got another chance, he maybe would have worded it differently, which is why I'm not killing him here today. But I do understand people who look at it and they go, hey, it's optically not a great look to be like, hey, this 2-10 team, I think they're actually more talented.
Now we're totally putting words in his mouth.
I'm trying to give context to why people are upset about this.
Oh yeah,
That's I think what they hear.
Yeah.
And I think that's tough optically to defend. I also understand what you mean in the sense of like, yeah, there's different body types that offer Tony White more versatility and give opportunities to be pretty good.
And I don't think that's not far-fetched because that was the context of the question 100%. That was asked of him.
I think the micro context.
So we grab some stuff and we're like, ooh, I'm mad now. 2-10. How can two? Like, come on, man. Sometimes we just gotta grow up.
I think James Williams was talking in the micro context of the question he was given and the answer he was giving.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people took that to the macro context of who the two teams were last year and go, that doesn't make a lot of sense. Both of those things can be true at the same time. From a macro context, it might not make a lot of sense. From a micro of the question that was asked, he could have been accurate.
Yeah.
Like, so I do understand how both people or both sides can feel different ways about the James Williams thing.
Yeah.
It didn't make me particularly angry. I did think, maybe he would word that differently if given another chance.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, maybe there's not a perfect way to word it, but if you're talking about positional versatility and body types, talent maybe isn't the best word to throw in there. I don't know.
Do you think it's a reach to assume that FSU may have more versatility in body types?
No, I think that part's accurate.
I think we say it. I think we think it.
I do think it might be
and so I think that's where my pushback was. I'm like, we're not even honest with ourselves.
I do think it might be a false assumption to assume they have more talent.
Yeah.
Because I do think versatility and body types and talent are different things, right? Like,
I guess I just wasn't willing to parse through semantics.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I usually am.
I don't know.
It didn't make me angry. Like, I'm just probably, if that's not a guy that just played at Nebraska or if it's just any other different school, obviously we don't care, right? Like, we're just like, whatever. It's a thing that a guy said.
Because, where I landed at the end of the day to kind of think that I like my perspective.
Where's that?
He realizes that he still had work to do to get on the field more.
Sure.
Because he didn't play near as much as he wanted to, but he went with him anyway.
Yeah. Well, I think that had a lot.
So there's no malice there.
No, I think it had a lot to unless he thinks he should have been on the field more.
Well, the two guys that were in direct control of that are with him.
I understand that, but
that wasn't a rule thing.
I understand that.
What certainly wasn't a Butler thing. I mean, that's T. Knight and T. White.
I understand that.
And he's rolling with him anyway.
There's, again, if we're giving him he's 20 years old, that benefit of the doubt on maybe he didn't word things properly, then I also have to give him the 20 years old and maybe his personal relationship with Knighton doesn't allow him to see that Knighton is the one that didn't allow him to be on the field as much. Maybe he's like, oh, man, head coach is keeping me down, whatever. I don't know.
Do you know what T. Knighton wouldn't have done?
What's that?
Take him.
Oh, I'm sure he wants him. He's a talented guy, but he also may not be sitting there telling him like, hey, it's my fault you're not on the field more.
Let me ask you something. Off topic, on topic.
Okay.
If you look at Braden, Simpson,
okay,
Snow, Eckler, Butler,
yep,
Williams, Holgerson, is Nebraska on paper upgraded over 2024?
Better coaching staff?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
I 100% think that. I like Tony White a lot. I really like Terrence Knighton.
I love T. White.
I really love Terrence Knighton. I think he's really good. Butler probably wouldn't have been my first choice at DC. But if we're going across the board.
Do you know why he wouldn't have been?
For Butler?
Yeah.
Yeah, I would have liked to have seen someone who had done it at the college level more recently.
What if he would have come straight from Buffalo?
No, because he wasn't calling plays there either. Like, I would have liked an active defensive coordinator.
So his resume, if he had come straight from Buffalo, his resume you wouldn't be impressed?
His resume is probably better than Tony White's.
Would they have had to have explained the Babbage decision? Like, would you have needed that background to be swayed that this would be a good hire?
I think it is a good hire. You asked why he wasn't my first choice, and it's because I would have taken.
Would you take Butler or Chris Ash?
That's a good question.
Okay. So the
That's
fact.
a fair question.
All right. That's why I do it. I like context.
He's got a good resume. I would have preferred a sitting defensive coordinator. That's what I like. If you're asking me why he wasn't my first choice, I would have preferred a sitting defensive coordinator. Now I do agree
because of Nebraska's history to hire sitting coaches.
No, because I want a guy that's proven. Like in that situation, I want a guy with a track record. And
what do you think they're saying in Notre Dame about Chris Ash?
I don't know.
No.
It's a fair question. I also wonder what they were saying about Al Golden when they brought him in. Because it's not like Al Golden was a hot name 2 years ago.
Hmm?
Like, that's a guy that had some baggage. So it's kind of the same way I would have felt the same way with Al Golden. Ironically, I think, they coached at the same school at one point, as I think a lot of Nebraska fans would have felt about Jeff Collins. I think Jeff Collins is a really good defensive mind, struggled as a head coach. I wouldn't have had a problem if they brought Jeff Collins back. He also wouldn't have been my first choice. Like, I think there's value in the continuity of keeping Butler. I think there's value.
Would you prefer to have Snow or Collins around if you're going to go with familiarity and coaches?
Snow.
Okay.
And the bringing in of Snow changes how I feel about the Butler hire, like within context.
I got you.
Butler by himself, I didn't feel as good about. Butler and Snow, I feel much better about. But again, the question was, why not my first choice? I probably would have taken like Simons at SMU, a sitting, highly successful defensive coordinator. That probably would have been my choice. Not that Butler's a bad consolation, but, it's pecking order. It's kind of like the Luka AD thing. I'm not saying AD sucks, right? Like, that's not the point of the Luka AD conversation. AD is a good basketball player. In the context of AD or Luka, I can't imagine choosing Luka. Or I can't imagine not choosing Luka, right?
Yeah.
Like, I was trying to come up with because I know a lot of people that listen to us aren't huge NBA people, right? And so I was trying to come up with an NFL corollary to what this trade would have been. And the best I came up with, and I'm interested, I didn't tell you this beforehand, so I'm interested to see your reaction and if you've got a better one, right?
I'm not that smart.
Is if you had traded, and I know the ages don't line up, but I think quality of players are close.
Okay.
Although I may be doing AD a disservice. If you had traded Lamar Jackson for Dak Prescott, that's how this feels to me. But I may not be giving AD quite enough credit with Dak. I think it's close, though. Am I crazy? Am I in the neighborhood?
I got one.
Okay.
What about Herbert for Allen? We don't. Do you know why I upgraded from Prescott?
Why is that?
He's not an AD comp.
Yeah, that's what I said. I think I'm not giving AD enough credit. But
how about
I think Herbert's.
How about Herbert for Allen?
I don't know. I think Herbert might be a little too good.
So which one is not that good, AD or Luka?
I think Herbert might be a little better than AD.
AD is incredible.
I think the way we talk about Herbert now is the way we used to talk about AD.
I'm just telling you, AD shoots. He's a.
Oh, no, AD's really
listen
good.
Listen to what I'm telling you.
All right.
Shoots over 50% from the floor. Adjusted twos, he's like 63%. He's a 24-7 and 12 guy. 24.7, 12 rebounds for his career.
Mm-hmm.
Like, AD is
very good.
Way good.
I understand that.
The Herbert thing isn't out of this. We don't even like Herbert because he allegedly doesn't win enough.
And you don't even like AD, and I've turned you into a defender. Let's get to our guy, Nick Bahe, here coming up next on Hurrdat Sports Radio.
We will be back. will be back. We will be back. We will be back. You're listening to Hurrdat Sports Radio. Now, college basketball analyst for FS1, host of the Nick Bahe podcast, and former Creighton and Kansas basketball guard, Nick Bahe.
Man down, man down.
Nick Bahe.
I open up some salsa, explodes all over my chest.
Nick Bahe.
Meet me at the rim.
Here is
Old Dominion.
Nick Bahe.
Kicking off hour number 3 here on Hurrdat Sports Radio, presented by Centris Federal Credit Union. Mama, there goes that man, Nicholas Allen Bahe. What's going on, buddy?
What's up, guys, man? It's so good to see you. So good to see you.
Old Dominion will never not be funny. I mean, there are some doozies, but I still think Stans is called is maybe one for me. Yeah. I mean, that was incredible. Like the Stans
callback. It's an amazing callback. You know, people forget about that one. I know my girl Sasha doesn't forget about that one.
That one was, I know right where I was. I was getting gas at Quick Trip, and I sat with the car door open in the gas. The thing had been done. That thing clicked at like 36.89. It was just sitting there, and I just was holding my chest, laughing. Like I was like, I think something might be wrong with me. And I just got out of Stan's call.
So for people who don't know, it was if I'm not mistaken, it was a Thursday night Iowa State Texas Big 12 football game, and Iowa State got screwed with a terrible call late. And it just so happened that the official that came on to say that the play stands as called was the most Texan rancher. Like he might as well had a cowboy hat on. Like
I think he was giving him the hook 'em while he was giving the call.
Yeah, hook 'em horns.
It was like,
it was horrible.
Stands is called.
Stands is called.
And you just did it over, and I was like, "Oh my gosh!"
I know it was bad. It was bad.
I'll know that one's up there in the old Rolodex for me, man. How you been on your whirlwind tour, man? Like, where aren't you?
It's been nuts. It's been nuts, which is good. That's how it needs to be. That's how I want it to be. But yeah, it's been a lot, man. I just made my first ever trip out to Logan, Utah for Utah State. Man.
Did you know where Logan was?
No.
Me neither. Me neither. I know like Parkville. I know like Salt Lake. Like Provo. That's about Logan. I'm like, who?
I know. Yeah, I had no idea.
Can you fly in? You can fly into Logan, right?
You can. It's very small airport. Most people, I was told, and this is what I did: fly into Salt Lake, rent a car, drive 90 minutes, boom, you're good to go.
Yeah, you're talking to a guy that's fresh off of being in Champaign Urbana's airport this weekend, going to Illinois. So I was like, I think this airport's about 2,200 square feet. I was terrified, Nick.
The smallest airport's the State College Airport, though. Have you been in that one, DB? Have you been to the State College Airport?
You know where I'm driving. I'm driving to State College. I am not flying. Like, I'm not looking forward to going there. This place is a place of nightmare.
I know.
When you like come out of the screening area, like you go through TSA and you were like, and I'm in line at my gate.
Listen,
there's no walk around.
So in Champaign, the food and drinks are in a self-contained fridge, and you scan it yourself on the honor system.
Oh my gosh!
They put a lock on the liquor fridge. It's incredible.
Yeah, you see, there's some small airports out there, boy. Everybody wants to act like the Lincoln Airport, man. The Lincoln Airport, man, the State College Airport, Champaign Airport make the Lincoln Airport look like LaGuardia, man.
Dude, anytime you're at an airport where you're just like cross it, like if you have to walk directly onto the tarmac, not a good sign. Yeah. And you're just crossing your fingers, you're like looking for the plane, you're like, please don't have propellers. Please don't have propellers. Like that's when the worst one I've ever been to is New Bern, North Carolina. It is literally you walk in the door and you're at your gate. I don't even know if they had tickets. It was just, hey, you're on the plane now. Congratulations. Yes. And you're walking on the tarmac. Like I'm not supposed to walk on a tarmac. That's not where I'm supposed to be.
I'll send you. I'll tweet a picture out, Nick. I took a picture. I found one of the 3 outlets that they had in the airport, and I sat on the floor by myself. And I was literally by myself,
Man, it's the adventures of the road. You see some things. It's been fun though. Utah State, that atmosphere was rocking, man. It was
they get after
ended up winning that game, but it's really good, really, really good environment. It was cool.
I want to go back to the end of Creighton and Nova on Saturday before your broadcast. How much are we underselling kind of the resolve and the back and forth in crunch time the last 5 minutes? Because there were lots of places that could have gone wrong in that building, especially after the late turnover, where you got to kind of settle it back down to even draw up an inbounds play for a final shot.
Yes. I mean, just generally speaking, I think Mac even said it after the game. You go 6 of 26 from 3, you turn it over 18 times. You're on the road against a team that is backs are made or big time against the wall. You got the nation's leading scorer. There was a lot stacked against you there. And yeah, it's not easy when you have a turnover, pick 6, dunk like that late, and then you could tell Steven lost his composure just for a second. Sometimes as a player, you want to go make up for the mistake right away. So he came and just jacked the first 3 he saw. And then I know there was a lot of angst over Jason Green's save, timeout? Did he have the ball? All I know is that's an amazing. That's a really heads up
the
play. Presence of mind. I know for me on some level, I never saw a replay, and I'm sincere when I say it. I never saw a replay that definitively showed that Jason Green did not have control of the ball. Mm-hmm. Now, for people to understand, a couple years ago, they changed the rule where a player can be airborne and he can call timeout. So that part of it is like that. That's totally within the rules. Did he have control before his foot hit the ground? I never saw anything that showed otherwise. All I know is that's an amazing heads-up play. And then what a great set to put your two best players in a screening action. You put Ashworth in a little back pick, coming him around for the lob. You knew everybody would sink in for Kalk, and then for Ashworth to step back and have a little corner bank three. But no, you're right, Damon. The resolve, the toughness to find a way to win that game.
I mean, because meanwhile, Nova has their best player kick a ball off his foot. That's
well. There's
handling
a
the
reason.
Moment, handling not handling the moment.
Yeah, there's a reason the past 2 years Creighton's hit 2 game winners at the buzzer over Villanova. Like one team finds a way to win, and one team over the last couple of years has just found a way to lose. And there's just something to that. And yeah, that's a heck of a win for Creighton. When after the Pop injury and then the Bama loss and then the stinker at Georgetown where the second half, Creighton looked like a junior varsity team. Couldn't even enter offense. Micah Peavy was just, big boying everybody out there with run out layups and dunks. I thought Creighton was in big trouble. I said this on my last pod. This is one of the best coaching jobs I think Coach McDermott's done in his 15 years at Creighton. It also helps when you have one of the 5 to 10 best players in the country. And don't get it twisted. Do not get it twisted. Ryan Kalkbrenner is name me 10 better players in the country than that guy. You cannot do it. Okay, Cooper Flagg, cool. That's one. Okay, Janai Broom, 2. Okay, there are not 10 better players than that dude right there. And so it helps when you have that to begin with. That's a good place to start. But, man, Coach Mack is coaching his you-know-what off.
Yeah, I mean, this team 6 weeks ago, I was like, I just don't think they're very good.
9-2. This is his best start. In the conference.
5-6 weeks ago, I was like, I don't think this team is very good. Today, I'm like, oh man, ceiling is whatever they want it to be at this point. I don't have any upper limits on what this team is, and I am just stunned, honestly, Nick. I can't believe that they're getting what they're getting out of Jemiah Neal. I can't believe.
How about the difference in Trout's game, Nick? Trout, you saw catch and shoot coming, I'm sure, right? What is going on?
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things I could sit there. You could pick one guy or two guys, but literally everybody is playing better than they played on November 15th and December 15th. And they're all playing better, and then they're all a year better. Mm-hmm. Neal it's taken some time for him to kind of find his way into the Creighton way of doing things, but that guy's playing that guy's playing great right now.
His ability to take and make big threes is been staggering.
Yeah. And
how about the Stones?
Yeah, I mean, he's got confidence. Trout's playing great. And it was going to be hard. One of the things that I thought was going to be challenging this year heading in was between Miller, McAndrew, and Trout, you had 3 guys that were largely the same kind of a player. And you were going to need to get a lot of minutes out of all 3. And that can be hard when at the end of the day, what all of them do is catch and shoot. And none of them are going to break you down off the bounce. None of them are necessarily going to go lock down anybody else. But Greg McDermott has found a way to maximize all of those guys. And then Stephen Ashworth, I mean, I don't even know what to say with all that's on that guy's plate, on one hand, the basketball player in me is like, man, it'd be great to have the ball in my hands the whole game. No, I'm never coming out of the game knowing I can do whatever I want. But at the same time, there's a lot that comes with that. And he doesn't have a lot of help around him in terms of ball handling, in terms of creating.
He has to have elite level fitness.
Oh, man.
Elite.
Yes. Just everybody do yourself a favor. Watch him in a possession once he gives up the ball. The second that guy gives up the ball, that guy is in perpetual motion. He's hard back cutting, then sprinting back out for a handoff. I mean, just his movement's outstanding. And then Zugic, I'm telling you, Zugic is coming along. He is starting to kind of find his way. He's the one guy that I think that could eventually provide something that they really need. I think even as early as this Saturday at against Marquette, where you need some more guys that can handle the basketball. And Zugic, I think, has proven to me to be a little bit better off the bounce than I thought. So, no, I'm amazed, man. I'm with you, Ravi. I thought this team was in big trouble. And I've been around Creighton basketball intimately since 2005, and this group has stunned me maybe more than any other group, to be honest with you. They have really, really grown.
I'm glad you brought up Zugic because I've been banging that drum forever. Not because, I know a lot of people are like, oh, he's going to be savior, whatever. I just want another ball handler on the floor, right? Like, I like Ashworth and what he can do, but especially like Saturday when they got in foul trouble with Ashworth and Ty Davis was on the floor. Like, Ty Davis, I think he's going to be a good ball player, but is not at the point where you can ask him to do Stephen Ashworth things, right? Like, in my mind, I think they need to start getting a little more aggressive with Zugic's minutes to help relieve some of that pressure.
Agree. And
have hard defensive matchup Saturday, though.
Well, very. But the other thing, Ravi, did you notice towards maybe the final 10 minutes of that Xavier game, where Zugic was enormously important, was throwing the ball into Kalkbrenner.
He might be the best post
entry guy. Yeah,
they need, and that was Shireman last year. Mm-hmm. That's where Shireman and Kalk were really good on their set plays for high lows, or they loved the little pennant along the baseline to throw it in. That was Zugic more often than not at the end of the game against Xavier. Stephen Ashworth, what he's done a nice job of is he's seeing the lob better on those pick and rolls, and he's seeing the kind of throw ahead pass early in transition to Kalkbrenner. But when they get bogged down in the half court, Stephen's size can become a problem for him to throw the ball into the post. I just think Zugic, I'm totally with you, Ravi. Like, his ability to truly like handle the ball is huge, but a part of ball handling is also passing. Like the ability to create a post-entry pass or a read and to put it on time and on target. I think that's where he's also going to be vital, is throwing the ball into Kalkbrenner. So I'm totally with you, Ravi. I think Zugic is one of those guys that at some point Greg McDermott's going to have to just go, all right, he may not always be in the right place defensively. I may not totally trust him like I do, whether it's a Mason Miller or an Isaac Trout or whoever, because they've been around me for so long. That guy gives you something that you just don't, even how about the extra pass he made to Neal for the corner three for his back-to-back, like he's a good passer. I think Zugic is coming, and it's exciting.
How about us? 2025, we're talking about post-entry passes. Let's go. Slick, let me ask you about Nebraska, right? And you was talking, last week and going into this one, they were last in 3-point defensive percentage the last 6 games during the streak, 46% of made threes. Illinois, you saw firsthand, 10 of 42. Not sure what's going on in Oregon. Offensively, 5 for 20 from behind the arc. How much can we dumb this down with, Nebraska's a no middle team. They're going to double. They sometimes triple, where you just need to look at how they're defending or who's making threes against this team if you want to do any sort of projections.
Yeah, I think oversimplified, a lot of it does come down to that. I also think the quality of the shots that a team like Wisconsin got versus a team like Oregon got, in terms of not all threes are created equal, and I just think in general, now I thought Illinois got pretty good shots, guys. I thought they just missed them. That's not meant to take away anything
early.
From
one of 15. Like I was like, that's a
their
good look.
15,
they got away with
18 threes were pretty clean.
Yeah.
But I thought last night, Nebraska's urgency to guard the ball, communicate off the ball, and get to the 3-point line was outstanding. And it's funny how basketball and sports in general, we can overcomplicate it, and then sometimes it's as simple as just a couple of things: confidence collectively, effort, and then how well is your best player playing?
Oh, yeah, good.
Like, I mean, and I know that's not, I'm not like splitting the atom here with that level of analysis. Like Nebraska's, they needed a shot of confidence. They got it against Illinois. They needed to play harder. They played harder against Illinois, and in particular, I thought they played really hard last night against Oregon.
Yeah, Shellstead, he was dead dog tired.
Yeah, Sam did a nice job on Shellstead, making him work for everything that he got. And then I think Fred has done a nice job of getting Bryce Williams on the ball more, both defensively, guarding the basketball, and he's been more aggressive and he's played better. This is his best 2-game stretch in since probably that UCLA Diamond Head Classic combination. So yeah, I mean but you're right, Damon. To tie it all back, like a lot of it is going to come down to how these opposing teams shoot the three. But man, when you're confident and you play hard and your best player plays well and you play to your identity, like that makes those things make a difference, man. They really do.
So, Nick, I want to stick on that 3-point guarding here for a second because Nebraska's sort of a weird team. And DB and I talked about this earlier, where they're kind of willing to give up some kickouts in order to do what they want to do in terms of whether it's doubling the post or bringing extra help. But I think there's a big difference. Like, not all open threes are created equally. An open three where you've got a guy not making a real active closeout versus a guy flying in your face as a shooter, and you can speak to this, feels a lot different, right? Like, the quality of the open three and how it's coming within your offense can pretty dramatically impact. And that's what I thought was the biggest difference between, say, Illinois, where I agree with you, especially in the first half. They got some good looks, versus second half Illinois and Oregon.
Go back to Maryland, Nick, with Jacoby Gillespie, who in my opinion, is the most underappreciated player in the Big Ten.
Yeah.
His looks that he was getting against Nebraska, like you were thinking, those are tough. He just was making them, and Gillespie's done that for Maryland, which I think kind of makes them dangerous. And it kind of looks similar to Shellstead and those guys. Gillespie made them.
Yeah. Exactly. I mean, there are wide open threes. There's the contested ones. There's what kind of shots they're getting within the flow, where the shot came from, all those kinds of things. So it's not as simple as just grab the box score. What were the makes and the attempts from three? What did it look like? And that's the thing with Nebraska is just because, yes, you are trapping on the baseline. Yes, you are really flooding to the ball. Yes, you are doing all those things, but that's not letting you off the hook to just not sprint out and contest or sprint out and have a little bit of intelligence on, okay, I got two on the backside. One's TJ Bamba, one's Jackson Shellstead. Let's have a little intelligence on where we want to close out and where we want this shot to come from. All those kinds of things. So yes, I think there's no doubt that Nebraska's defense is built to take away the paint, take away post-ups, but that's also that also isn't meant to be just, hey, like just let them cast threes. That's not how it's supposed to be at all. So I think Nebraska needs to continue to have a little bit more urgency. The other area too, and Brad Underwood talked about this, and if you look at whether it's the end of the Iowa game, a lot of the Purdue game, Nebraska, where else they've struggled is they've been horrible in transition defense when things have gone awry. And they don't like getting cross-matched. They don't talk at times. So I think transition defense, making sure they're corralling the basketball. If they can force teams to play in the half court defensively, it's going to be important for them.
We will be back. We will be back. We will be back. We will be back. You're listening to Hurrdat Sports Radio.
Welcome back, Hurrdat Sports Radio. That's DB. I'm Ravi Lulla here on the Pillar Exterior stage. It's time for Bet On It, brought to you by Warhorse Sportsbook, the best place in Nebraska to place your sports bets. Go to warhorsecasino.com to check out all they have to offer, or make sure you get to Lincoln, Omaha to place your sports bets. See if you can make a little money off of DB.
Omaha.
And all of his wisdom.
Yeah.
His black magic. You know, we were talking in the group chat, and D. Marinas goes, hey, so what the F's happening with the Big Ten? I go, no one in the world knows except for DB because he's a witch.
You watch a lot of sports, man.
I understand that. A lot of listen, I don't know anybody that watches more basketball than you, D. Marinas, and Jacob. And somehow they're confused, and you're just like, Minnesota over Michigan. Duh.
Yeah. I like it.
There's a little bit of witchcraft happening. That's all I'm saying.
Going back to my old conference today, though.
Where are we living today?
We're going back to the AC Sizzle.
Oh, I thought maybe you're going Big 12.
No, I took a good hard look at that.
Yeah.
A good hard look at that.
Okay. What do we got?
Because I do like Kansas tonight. And,
do you?
And it gives me the willies.
Like in Kansas in general?
Yeah.
What's the
it's not a
2.5 point favorite at home?
It's not a good basketball team.
I don't think so either.
I think they're searching. I don't think they know what to do with their lineups. But I'm going to the Atlantic Coast Conference.
Good old ACC basketball.
And I like Pitt. I think they hammer Virginia tonight.
Really?
Yeah, it's 13.
You had a good feel on Pitt when they played Carolina.
I like Pitt plays hard.
And Virginia's not very good.
Very physical on offense. Pitt plays hard.
Big fave at home, 12.5.
I like Pittsburgh.
Yeah?
Yeah.
You like Pitt? Is Pitt a lock?
Yeah, lock it up.
You like Kansas, but you lock Pitt.
Yeah, lock it up.
Okay.
And you know what's funny? Like watching these games, and by the way, you should. So we're at the dinner table.
Not a super heavy night of games tonight.
No, it's it's not a good slate.
Yeah,
which would be time for me to maybe get back on the eat something good train.
Okay.
Although I mean, Chicago was fine.
Where'd you eat in Chicago? Anywhere good?
I had a good fish sandwich.
Yeah.
But
where you were in Champaign though? You weren't in Chicago for the most part.
Right.
Okay.
It's all
okay.
Champaign.
Oh yeah. So you weren't eating in Chicago.
So I had a really good fish sandwich.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody else at the table got pork tenderloin, which I wanted, but I caved because I'm like, well, three pork tenderloins. I don't want to be.
You just didn't want to be.
No, I'm so stupid. I was like, I just want to look at a different sandwich. I think I'll get the fish.
So you ordered something you didn't want just because everybody else had ordered it?
But I did kind of want it.
Okay.
I just wanted the tenderloin more. It's just that everybody else got the tenderloin.
Was that like one of your weird competitive things happening there, or what was that?
So I forgot that I was eating with 3 other guys, but in my head I was like, well, if they don't finish, I'll eat that. But
okay.
I know. All right. It's not very smart.
That's all right.
Doesn't matter.
That's fine.
And then the one good place in the morning, Nail Street Blues.
Oh yeah.
But outside of that, it was I DoorDash once, and then I grabbed some chicken sticks at the airport. So it was light.
Yeah.
I want a good home cooked meal.
What are you thinking?
Last decent day of weather. It'll be something outside.
Yeah. Although it's gonna be cold by the time you're out cooking it.
Oh no, I can gut it.
You're gonna have to.
It's 20 a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, it'll be warmer than that, but the wind's gonna be nasty.
Yeah, I bundle up.
You gotta get you got the vest going already.
So sitting with a Duke fan. So we got West Side Central.
Okay.
Because we're with Kirkman, so we're watching basketball on the phones at the dinner.
Yeah.
During social hour, we weren't being social. There's 4 guys sitting at their own table.
Did I not predict? Did you go back and read through the chats with you, Marinas, and Padilla?
And you're like, yeah, they were wondering where I was.
And I go, he's watching this debacle on his phone at the Butt-Kiss dinner.
So about every 2 hours, the rest of that night, about every hour and a half, Queen would screenshot me the score.
Is Queen a Duke fan?
Yes.
That kind of makes sense.
So he's sitting right next to me.
He seems like a Duke fan.
He's like, hey, it's 40-16. It's 54-31. It's like, hey, Carolina cut it to 27. He's like, hey, at least they showed some fight. So it's like 11:20, and I'm already crabby because I didn't eat the dinner at the dinner.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting in the lobby, and I'm waiting for my DoorDash order, and he screenshots the score to me. And by then, I'm just fed up.
You're just done with that dude?
Oh God.
Well, you told me he's mean spirited.
I at one point I did think Duke would cover twice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They thought about it.
They were pushing it. It was 27 at one point, I think.
Because what did the number end up being?
14.
Yeah. Yeah, I couldn't remember where it closed.
It's like, shoot, Duke may cover this thing twice.
Yeah, that was a little rough. Out there.
It's not
looking good for your guy Hubie.
No, it's not. It's not my guy.
That's your fave.
No.
So who are you going to get?
I don't know.
That's the question, right? It's the $1 million question. Who are you going to go get?
I don't know. Hey, is Anthony Davis going to be available? Maybe get him for a bag of peanuts. Come back to college.
Why you go get Calipari?
How about what he did?
That was unbelievable.
Unbelievable. Walking into that place.
I was low-key kind of rooting for him.
I was too.
I don't know why.
I was too.
I don't know how I became the Calipari defender.
You are the apologist of the show.
And I don't understand why.
You clowned his offense forever.
And I still do. It's not very good.
Hated on Hurley's offense. And have now come back around on Cal.
Let me clarify here. You're not painting me in a corner on this.
Nobody puts baby in the corner.
That's right. And I am a baby. I was not clowning Hurley's offense. I was simply stating it was not as complex as everybody in the free world.
But I was with you, though.
I
actually was vibing with you. Were you shocked at how they just hammered Marquette?
A little, but UConn's bipolar this year. Like, they really are. They're from one game to, because we saw them, they lost 3 straight in November to subpar competition out in their exemption tournament. They had another, they were going 500 in their last 6 against some iffy competition right here in Big East play. But they're as capable as anyone on any given night. It's just a matter of which UConn shows up that night.
Mm-hmm.
And I have no idea on any given night which UConn's going to show up. So I'm a little surprised they hammered Marquette, but it's also like, that's a game you get up for. Kind of makes sense. I don't know what the
Saturday's going to be a doozy.
Creighton Marquette. Yeah, it is. It really is. That's a big one. And
by then in the Big Ten, how many games will Maryland have won in a row? Because they're at 4 and counting.
Who do they have next?
They got. I think they're Tuesday, Friday this week. I just looked at them because I'm a big.
So they've got 4 in a row. They've got Ohio State, Rutgers, Thursday, Sunday,
and we need them to beat Ohio State.
Yeah, so they're actually projected to lose to Ohio State on the road to Ken Palm, but it's a coin flip.
We need Ohio State to take one.
And then they're supposed to hammer Rutgers at home.
They'll have Harper back this weekend, I think.
Yeah.
Although it's high ankle, but he sure was skirting pom-pomming on the sidelines.
Those high, I know, but it's the cutting. Like, that high ankle is going to be rough.
No, I get it.
I don't know. I don't think they get both of them this weekend or this week.
So Oregon and Indiana have both lost 3 in a row.
Yeah. Indiana doesn't surprise me because you know how I feel about Indiana.
And I'm telling you, Nebraska's a game behind Iowa, who they're still going to be kicking themselves over that one. A game behind Ohio State, a game behind Oregon, a game behind Indiana, and a game behind SC. All 5-win teams in the conference.
Yeah, so they're a game and a half because SC's behind a game.
Yeah.
So they've only got 5 losses. But yeah, there's 4 6-loss teams right ahead of them. And Nebraska's right there. They went from 17th to 14th in a week.
And a couple of the teams are doing what we need them to do. Needed Penn State to come on back.
Penn State came back.
Sold late.
Rutgers came back a little bit. Northwestern's banged up. Like, there's
that's a tough 8. That was
a path for Nebraska to.
Did you see Collins have to give that interview?
Yeah,
after this? It's tough.
I like Collins a little bit too.
Do you?
I think he's okay. Yeah, I appreciate that's a tough job and that he really loves it. And I don't know, there's something about that kind of endears me to him.
You ready to say who you think the best team in the Big Ten is?
No, I guess Michigan State still. I feel like that's the default answer.
Is Maryland the scariest? You're not gonna let me talk you into Maryland because of my affinity for Queen and Gillespie, are you?
Yeah, no, I'm not.
They're good.
Not the scariest. I think they are scary. Like,
is it a Willard thing?
Yeah,
you know him like the back of your hand.
I hate Willard. I think he's terrible. Wow. Not as bad as Holloway, but he's not good. I'm not a Willard guy at all.
Oh, I know.
Like,
what about Michigan?
I'd fight that dude in an alley.
Still turn the ball over too much?
Way too much.
Yeah, they're still 8-2 somehow, though.
I get that. I don't trust them. And somehow I don't know how good Michigan State is, and they're just like, we're 18-3. Don't worry about it. And I'm like, well, I'm not really sure what to do with that. That's Bet On It, brought to you by Warhorse Sportsbook. More Hurrdat Sports Radio coming up next.
We will be back. We will be back. will be back. We will be back. You're listening to Hurrdat Sports Radio.
Wrapping up the show here, Hurrdat Sports Radio. That's DBM Ravi Lulla here at Hurrdat Sports Bar and Grill, and brought to you by our friends over at Centris Federal Credit Union. You know, it's February. People are all thinking about, Valentine's Day. It's the month of love, but maybe it's the time to break up if it's not really what you're feeling like with your significant other. It might also be time to break up with your current financial situation, and Centris Federal Credit Union may be the right match for you. It is a local credit union focused on helping people, and in 15 branches across the city or online in the communities they serve. Make sure you go to centrisfcu.org to check out all they have to offer. Centris Federal Credit Union is federally insured by NCUA. D.
What's up?
How are you doing?
I'm better. I've got to just get through like the talking head shows for the next
couple days.
Yeah. Start playing games again.
What happened?
I'm not. Do you see Mavs down by 50 at one point yesterday?
I saw them down by 50. I saw them give up 50 in the first quarter. I saw them give up 91 in a half.
Trying to figure out how they're going to recalibrate this thing.
You can't.
Well,
Did you see the press conference with him and Jay Kidd?
I didn't get the negative vibes from Kidd. You did, though.
Really? That looked like a guy that was sitting there to me and thinking, what in the hell is this guy saying I'm on board with? Because he goes, I didn't talk to Jay Kidd. Nobody knew. We didn't tell anybody. He's like, but Jay Kidd and I are aligned. And Jay Kidd just sits there like,
how about my man Nico at the end? He was like, make no mistake, this was my decision. We won't make that mistake.
Yeah, no one's going to make that mistake because you told us Jay Kidd wasn't involved, and you told us that the owner laughed at the trade proposal, and you kind of just did it anyway. Like, this thing, that's why I think it's going to be hard to recalibrate. You didn't talk to anybody involved. You didn't talk to your head coach.
It's still a great roster.
You didn't talk to your owner. It's not about whether the roster is good or not. It's about whether the team can get on board with the move you made.
Yeah.
That's the issue, right? And I don't know how the locker room felt about Luka. Maybe they hated Luka as much as Nico did. And so they're like, all right, cool. I have no idea. I really don't. What I do know is this is the first time in years that Kyrie has looked happy in a basketball situation. We don't hear him running his mouth every 15 minutes because he's actually playing ball. So good luck replicating that again, because we saw about 4 franchises try and do it and couldn't figure it out. So I don't know if, maybe Kyrie just matured and he's cool now, or maybe that was a Luka thing and he liked the situation. I don't know. But we do know Kyrie's got a history of being a little bit of a malcontent, and I'm not sure I'm shaking that boat 17 minutes after I went to the finals. Like, do we forget they went to the finals last year?
Yeah.
Like, defense wins championships. You guys were in the finals last year. You know that, right? Like, did you forget you were in the finals last year with this guy that you think you can't win with?
Well, maybe
they did. I don't know. But that's going to be hard to recalibrate in real time.
Trying to figure out when Eck gets here to go to work.
I don't know. He hasn't officially been announced yet, has he? So that'll probably be a minute.
No. But it's...
No, I get it that it's done. Like, they're ready to go.
Yeah, just get him here.
But
Let's go.
just fly them on in.
We got work to do.
Yeah, we do have work to do.
We got work to do. And I think there's a little bit of a downtime here for the staff coming up over the next handful of days. So players are getting reacclimated. Hey, CJ, Sunday was like, yeah, I see why you said you have to be able to not be talked to every day. It's pretty much us and our strength and conditioning guys. I'm like, yep.
Yeah, it's going to be like that sometimes.
Don't be needy. Gotta just go to work every day. Just go to work.
Yeah.
There's not going to be a lot of feedback here from your staff the next 3 weeks.
There's a type of person that needs constant validating. And I'm not saying whether that's good or bad. It kind of is what it is. But whether that's somebody that you're friends with or somebody that you're coaching, it does require a lot more energy.
Yeah.
And I don't think that's the type of energy that Nebraska's coaching staff is wanting to expend.
I'm pretty excited for this offseason.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I will say, and we haven't got to this yet, which is kind of shocking because I do think it's a big deal. I think the lack of a spring game is going to bother people.
You talk about something if somebody had to say over again.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if he'd say it over again, but I think he would have expounded on the whole tampering thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's not solely the reason.
No, that's what he made it sound like.
I know.
So what are the other reasons?
So I just think for him, it's, the format in terms of style and competition, how competitive they can or can't afford to be given who's coming off their off-season surgeries and stuff. I think that has a lot to do with it too.
Okay. For this year specifically.
Yes.
But I would imagine, because I took it as moving forward, there's probably not.
Yeah, it's obviously going to be tweaked.
Yeah.
It's obviously going to be tweaked. You can't.
Which we've seen a lot around the country.
Especially how Nebraska was practicing.
For how aggressive they are practicing.
Yeah. I mean, you're talking about spring teams and the spring league, and everything was competitive, and they were pretty physical.
Yeah.
So I want to watch that. I mean, I'm talking about live gunner, live punt coverage situations, stuff like that. I just want to see what they'll be willing to do. Because did you see the laundry list of off-season cleanups for surgery?
Yeah, he kind of went through it. Obviously, the ones people focused on were Turner Corcoran with the hamstring. Teddy's obviously coming off of his injury and surgery. I
think a lot of people knew about Carter and the hips.
Carter, you had Gunner had a shoulder.
Yeah.
So you got. I mean, frankly, you may have trouble with putting together like two offensive lines, like just with all the surgeries, right? Like,
so you think that's okay. Now that you bring it up, I'm not going to say like, no, that's dumb, but I didn't get much of that as the takeaway, but maybe people are talking about the spring game.
I think people, I don't know if they're upset in the moment. I think when time comes around, if they don't give people something that they like on April 26th.
Now that would be interesting because I do know they are doing something.
Right.
Because he wants it to be a recruiting weekend too. I told you we talked.
Yeah, it needs to be, right? Like that's a big moment for them on the 2026 class is that spring game. And future classes as well. But so that's what I think if they roll out a product that's little more than a fan day on April 26th, I think people are going to have a real problem. I think you have to give them something that resembles football for people to be cool. Because I think there's an understanding of.
I mean, you didn't like the Pro Bowl stuff yesterday?
I like the competitions. I don't love the flag football game. I like the other stuff.
Yeah.
I like the skills competitions. I've always liked those. They used to do those back in the day with the quarterbacks throwing and all that kind of stuff.
Bench press challenge. I was showing you my man Joey Porter.
I would love to see.
My man Joey Porter knocked out 35 only to get smoked by Larry Allen.
I would love to see. Dude, Larry Allen's a freak show.
Yeah.
I would love to see
maybe the best offensive lineman of our era.
The wide receivers go a little harder in their thing.
Maybe.
But I like the skills things and sort of those fun games. I do think the flag football game is terrible. Not a fan. But you're going to have to give Nebraska fans something that looks somewhat like football on April 26th. If you just go out there and give them a fan day or something like that, that's not going to go over well. And I get what he's saying. I get what he's, when he goes, hey, I don't want to put on a showcase for other teams to come pillage my roster. Totally makes sense. But you're not going to be able to pay for that roster if fans don't really like what you're doing, right? I'm not saying that's an imminent danger because it's not. But if you're like, hey, like we're kind of paying for this, like show us what we're getting.
Yeah, you got alcohol sales. You got $10, $15 a head.
Like that's a pretty good amount of revenue.
Yeah, they'll figure it out. You got some time.
I hope so. I hope it's something compelling. It doesn't have to be a game, but I think it needs to be something compelling that sort of looks like football because we need 4 months of extrapolating things that aren't real from a spring game to talk about.
And we're on the up, so you think attendance for the game would be up too this
year.
Yeah,
because of the juice.
Yeah, there's
like people will want to see
the new guys too.
The new guys in competitiveness.
That's a big with Rocco coming in, number 5 transfer class in the country. People are going to want to see those dudes.
Yeah,
like you're going to have a hard time appeasing people if you don't give them something.
So do you flip Latovsky and let him go to left?
I guess.
I don't know. He played well last year.
Yeah.
I mean,
he did.
I don't know how people feel about PFF. I'm not a huge PFF guy.
Yeah.
But they're comparable.
Yeah, I think. Yeah,
Latovsky and
Rocco. Yeah. So I think, I don't know. It probably just depends on who you feel has the better shot of making that adjustment. But
and let Evans and Sledge and those guys battle it out at center.
I mean, I think Evans is going to be your center. Maybe I'm being too dismissive. I assumed we would see Sledge at guard. But I mean, if I'm not remembering incorrectly, Evans gave Scott a run for his money.
Early.
Yes.
Early.
At center. So
yeah.
And
you could make the case that Scott's second year wasn't as good as his first.
No, he was better last year, I think, or 2 years ago now.
First year, yeah.
But I mean, if Evans was giving Ben Scott a run for his money at that point, when Evans was much younger, his redshirt freshman at that point, I just assume and maybe that's a bad assumption, but I just assume that's going to be his job as the center.
I just given Evans' mentality, I'd be afraid to not start him because somebody's going to have to fight him.
I think he's going to start. I just don't know where.
I don't think a lot of people want to fight him.
Yeah, I think he's there's a reason Vers likes that guy so much. He's mean-spirited.
Very much so. And he says about literally 8 words a day. People leave that dude alone.
You just growl at people?
Yeah. People leave that dude alone. Hey, man, you like being so close to home back at home? Yeah.
Cool.
Good talk.
Good talk, bud.
I get it. It's 5:50 a.m. I'm going to zip it.
Apparently, the Lakers are targeting Mitchell Robinson as their center.
It's not who I wanted.
I know.
None of the 3 guys I gave you last night.
I like Kessler there.
I do, too.
Kessler there makes a lot of sense to me. Turner's not bad.
He's going to be too expensive, though.
Yeah, but I think you can get Kessler, especially on a Utah team.
Not Clemson Kessler. Carolina Kessler, which is where he started.
Yeah, the Auburn guy.
Yeah, whatever. I said Clemson.
Yeah, the Auburn Kessler.
Ding dong.
Well, he's a Tiger.
Recruited by that guy.
That's DB. I'm Ravi. Lulla, Hurrdat Sports Radio tomorrow.
See you. Have a good day. Love you.